And the city commission meeting is now called to order. And this is a commission meeting for Monday, June 30th for 6 p.m. And if we can please have the city clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Dunn, Commissioner Hodgson,
Present.
Vice Mayor Martin,
Present.
Mayor Grant,
Present.
City Attorney Otnott,
Present.
City Manager Hobbs. Roll call completed.
Thank you, it's Kylie. And as you know, this is our official city commission meeting. We will be going over all items on this particular agenda. At this time, we are going to have communications from the public that is typically done by our Vice Mayor, Saray Martin. When you do come up, please state your name as well as your address, and you cannot speak on any item that is already on the agenda. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. And after everyone has spoken, then city manager and staff and commissioners will respond at one time. First up, Christina Harder.
Thank you. Allergies.
Christina Harder.
Thank you, Kylie.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Christina. I just wanted to introduce myself. I am one of the victims of an accident that happened on February 25th, and I stand before you today not only as a survivor, but as someone who is forever changed and forever grateful. First, let me thank everyone here for giving me the opportunity to express my gratitude. I know that I was unable to do so at the last commissioners meeting, so thank you. The kindness shown to me in the wake of such a traumatic experience has warmed my heart, humbled me in the best ways, and has truly helped me push through the mental and emotional weight of PTSD. A special thank you to Mayor Denise Grant for honoring me with a proclamation and an award. Your recognition was more than symbolic, it was healing. To Chief Stanley and the Lauderhill Police Department, thank you for the beautiful flower arrangements, the thoughtful gifts, financial support, my favorite coffee mug that I drink out of every day, and the unwavering support that you've all shown me. Every gesture, no matter how big or small, made a lasting one. As I look around the room tonight, I see people just like me. People who risk their lives every day to save another. People who've looked into the darkest parts of humanity and still chose to lead with compassion. We live in a world where adults take the lives of children, where violence speaks louder than peace, and yet we remain hopeful, brave, steadfast. We do this work not for praise, not for a paycheck, but because we're wired this way, called to protect, to serve, and to heal. It is a blessing, and at times it does feel like a curse, but we do it anyway. What do you do when you look around a crowded trauma bay and you see a teenager frozen in fear, watching his mother bleeding onto the floor? Officer Screen knew exactly what to do. He saw my son's pain, took him by the hand, and guided him away from the chaos. He met this fear with compassion. That moment, that humanity, is something my son and I will never forget, and that's Officer Screen. Michael Cauldron, he is my angel on earth. When I first met you, I thought I was dying. They told me that the chaplain was here to speak to me. So let's just say I started praying a little harder. But instead I met somebody who would become a light in my darkest days. Daily check-ins, words of encouragement, quotes, kindness. Everything you did for me and my family played a critical role in why I'm here right now. You lead with faith, empathy, and positivity. You remind us all what community care really looks like. Now imagine someone whose very presence lifts the energy of a room, whose smile and laughter brings warmth like sunshine breaking through the storm. Officer Lauren Daniels. Girl, you already know. Your energy, your positivity, your joy. Thank you for dancing with me through the darkness and reminding me that there's still light. Detective Clark was there for me, genuinely concerned, compassionate, and steady. Officer Clowers, I'll never forget her beautiful eyes and her strength and support that she gave me when I felt uncertain. Officer Kraft, the night of the accident, stayed by my bedside, related to me and being a part of the medical community with me. He brought me comfort in a moment when my world was spinning and helped me feel safe again, which meant everything. Officer Folmsby, I don't know if he's here, but he found and apprehended the individual that nearly took the lives of Officer Yops and I. And that swift and fearless action brought justice, accountability, and peace to a situation that could have remained open-ended. To the Broward County PBA, President Rod Skirvin, thank you for the accolades, support, and advocacy. I'm never going to forget the strength and encouragement that they've given me as well when I needed it. Chief Stanley, your presence is steady, grounded, and quietly powerful. You're the kind of leader who shows up with action and integrity. The way you supported not just me, but the entire department and my family is something I'll never forget. Thank you for leading with your heart. And finally, Officer Yops, we've endured something unimaginable together. But in surviving, in continuing to show up, in moving forward, we've shown that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's just the quiet determination to take another step. And I'm proud to stand with you. To everyone I've mentioned and to those I haven't, thank you for being there, for lifting me up, and for helping me begin the journey of healing. I may never find the words, but I will always carry this gratitude. This community, this city, this family, Lauderhill, is full of people who don't just talk about being brave, they live it. And above all, I'm thankful to still be here because living has given me the opportunity to continue to be a mother to my 3 incredible children. It's given me more time to be a friend, a daughter. My dad's here. He's expressed how proud he is of me. A sister, and just an active nurse in the community, the very community that helped save me. These are the greatest gifts of all, and I'll never forget you guys, so thank you for taking the time to honor me, and I would do it all again in a heartbeat if I could.
Penny, before you leave, Chief Stanley, I know that many of us know what happened, of course, but there are a few of us who do not. So if you can just give a synopsis, because I know that when she was here, she was unable to, yes.
That was beautiful, by the way.
That was
Definitely
beautiful.
from the heart. So we appreciate you. Yeah, all that you do. She wanted to be a cop, so, but.
My dad wouldn't let me. He's retired in my PD.
But Officer Yops, come up, who's here today. He's improving every day, so that stick you have there, you probably won't see it the next time. It just feels he needed. But he was traveling home, leaving from a training in the city, and while en route home, someone rammed the back of him intentionally, ramming him, causing him to get out of the vehicle, starting to conduct a traffic investigation. When Christina came along, observed what had happened, she turned around and came over and offered her assistance. While they were talking and he was obtaining her information, the same driver who struck Officer Yachts from behind proceeded to strike the both of them, knocking them into the air. He doubled back and ran over Yachts a second time and made an attempt a third time. He managed to, I think, from him working out and being as active as he was able to get out of the way and prevent from being struck a third time. And as you heard Christina point out earlier, she mentioned that all she saw was people taking pictures, nobody taking action. She went into action and just, again, kicked in, I guess, her instinct, wanted to be a cop. And she assisted Yops. They both came to the same hospital that night, and one of the things, and I mentioned this last time, was really comical. She was there lying in pain. As they were bringing her in, she just said, "All I wanted to do is go get a pedicure." So, but when I tell you, just a beautiful individual inside and out, and you have us for life. She come attend a lot of the events, our Coffee with the Cops, so she's very supportive. So there was a reason that you were there for that time. So Christina, we appreciate you. Obviously, Yops, we're glad you're here, because both of them, it could have been, turned out to be another situation, but they're both here standing before us. So very grateful that they're alive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And nothing just happens. Her father said, "No, I don't want you to be a police officer because I don't want you to get harmed." And he spent so much of his life as a police officer in New York City. Please, if you can stand up, sir, we would like to honor you as well. Your dad, stand up, Daddy. Yes. Thank you so very much. We appreciate it. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Next, Ms. May Smith.
Good evening, Mayor again, commissioners, staff. First, I want to start out with publicly making an apology to Andrea. I sent an email to Andrea in reference to Kenny Hobbs. And Andrea, I didn't think that you slated me or didn't give me the correct information. I thought that you were being directed. So my apologies. I have nothing but love for you. You've been great for us in this city. But I wanted to publicly let you know that I apologize for you feeling that way. On Kenny's salary, the reason I'm speaking on this tonight is because when we campaigned, I heard several times where there was conversation about the salary, which made me, when the item came up, to question it. And you have to be fair across the board. Kenny, I have no problem with Kenny. However, if we're going to question the previous, then we have to do the same for the current. And so that's why I was making sure about the salary, because if we're going to pay a whole lot of money, then there's some expectations. And we didn't question the previous administration and their salary, which we should have, and we held them to performance. We didn't hold them to performance, and we should have. Kenny, I want you to take it a different way, not to have us have to tell you how great we want our city to look. I want you to just do what you know to do, and that's make us look great, because now you are in charge. Campbell, you stated in the last meeting when I listened to the recording about capping salaries. Certainly our people deserve to make good salaries. However, it's like you said, at some point we have to put a cap on it. So you guys need to look at policy that caps salaries so that we don't end up taxing our residents out. Not that they're not qualified or capable, but we need to make sure of that. The $1.6 million that people keep coming up talking about, I ask that you guys settle down and just wait for the audit and see what it says. My bishop told me one time, you got to know when to hold and when to fold. When the odds are against you, and you know, maybe the public don't know, but you know that things were not done correctly, it's in your best interest to sit there and let it all play out. All of my community folks who keep coming up, talking this stuff about who did what, settle down, let the audit report come out and do its job. Kenny was being blamed over and over again for something he had no control of. And what's happening now, I see, is the same thing happened when Lori Parrish took over the property appraisal office. So much things were done inappropriately, and she found millions of dollars to put back on the tax roll. This reminds me of that. I'm out of time, and I'm gonna respect the time, but people, please, let the audit come out, know when to hold and when to fold.
Thank you. Next, Lawrence Martin.
Good evening, Commission, Mayor, Vice Mayor. This will be very quick. Back in April of this year, I submitted a public records request for some information that I've yet to receive. And under the state's public records request information, there's no set time frame for when that information should be returned, but it does say in a reasonable time. I've emailed the city on at least 3 occasions in reference to this, and I've had at least 2 personal conversations with staff, city manager and deputy city manager. And at this point, I'm here publicly asking for an understanding. I did receive information as to what is considered exemptions for public record requests, and none of these exemptions fall under the guise of the fact that an audit's being done, which I think is where I feel the explanation is going to come from. So I'm here publicly to ask for and to request it in writing also as to why my public records request to this date has not been fulfilled. And I also want to take a point of privilege to acknowledge to the city that I think y'all did a hell of a job over what will be considered International Caribbean Month, Week, Year, and the Public Safety Forum, to the mayor and to Kenny Hobbs and to Commissioner Dunn, where you've put it forward that the city needs to be in a powerful position to be a leader in Broward County when it comes to safety. So I acknowledge all of you for your efforts there. And I'm probably jumping the gun, but I got a frat back there that's going to be coming on board. I'll let the chief do it. I want to be preempting. But please, Kenny, if you can address the public notice, the public information requests, and if nothing else, give me a date certain when I can expect to receive that. Thank you.
All right, next up, Latoya London.
Good evening, everyone. I am Latoya London, 6421 Northwest 51st Street, Lauderhill, Florida. And I am here on behalf of my community, Cypress Hollow community. And I just wanted to ask and put on the record, a couple of my neighbors are having a problem with the automotive super service that is located at 6458 West Commercial Boulevard. And this is on the Commercial Boulevard and 64th Avenue, the corner across from the Walgreens. The problem that we're having, and it has been noted to the city, is that this particular business is working after hours and they are blasting music at night, rattling my neighbors that live on that wall. They are rattling their windows. And I do know that Kenny Hobbs has been notified and he's been taking action. So thank you for that. You've been helping. But I just want to get a status for my neighbors, exactly what's going on. And I told them that I will come and speak on their behalf to put it on record. It's becoming a nuisance. And they are kind of risking their safety now because they get up in the middle of the night and they go confront the people. And they were told by the police and code enforcement not to do that. But we need something done. And I know that they're trying to do some things about additions and things of that nature. But I would love for the city to look into that for my neighbors because they are elderly. We live in a gated community. and it's becoming a nuisance. So I just wanted to publicly put that business on record with that address and see if someone could get back to my HOA president, which is Paul Walker, or myself, and help us out with that. And then lastly, I wanted to tell you all I'm so proud of what you're doing in the city of Lauderhill and all of the events and activities that's going on. I am so proud. I share everything that you do, and I'm trying to bring community together. So you are doing a good job in reference to bringing community together, like you said you would. So I am very proud of that, and proud to be on city. I'm even proud of you, Ray. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank
Thank you. Next, Latricia Greaves.
Good afternoon, City Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager, Attorney. Latricia Greaves, 3721 Northwest 3rd Street, Lauderhill, Florida, 33311. Came to bring you an update, broad estates. I'm going to actually start with Martin Luther King, which is in the city of Lauderhill, to make you aware that they did remove the Montessori program out of the school, and they did change the name within a matter of 72 hours. So it would no longer be called Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Montessori. It will be now called Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School. So they moved and did that. The school board, as far as Broad Estates is concerned, they just changed the name. And the superintendent said that he had been communicating with everyone on his dais, and you all have been responding to him, is what he told the school board on June 17th in regards to Broad Estates being changed to Broad Estates Elementary. No, Broad Estates Early Learning Resource, Broad Estates Early Learning and Resource Center. Broad Estates Early Learning and Resource Center. And according to the superintendent, you all were all in favor of that. You supported that. You have been communicating with them consistently. I ask that if you are transparent, anyone on this dais speaking with them, that you do not respond unless you speak with the community, because there's a lot of backdoor information going on that we're not aware of. I did read into the board hearing and minutes the letter that you sent to the superintendent asking for a public information. Dr. Jeff Holness was not at that school board meeting. He attended via phone and attended late. So he really didn't even speak to it. The board members, the remaining board members, did not even address the fact that you requested for the superintendent to respond to you to have a public meeting. And of the other 8 board members responded either. So again, they're disrespecting this dais. I have a problem with it because when Coral Springs or Parkland mayor and commissioners ask the superintendent to come talk to them, they all move. He moves, but he doesn't do it for this, and I have a problem with that. That's total disrespect. So I ask that you maybe perhaps when you send another letter, not only send it to the superintendent, but also send it to all the board members as well as the attorney, the same demand asking for a public clearance hearing with the community as well as you all, and a special meeting here to hold them accountable. They have also started and passed an approval on June 17th at the school board meeting to start construction at Parkway Middle School. And they said you're aware of that as well. So this is what the superintendent is communicating to the board, who's his boss. So I want to bring you the information. Thank you for all that you're doing, and one lot of him. God bless you.
All right, thank you. There's no other names at this time, Madam Mayor?
Okay. Thank you so much, Vice Mayor. At this time, we are going to turn it over to our city manager for him to address each individual.
Thank you. To Ms. Hatter, I think she's left. But again, thank you for recognizing the great work of our police department, and thank you again for taking the actions that were taken to help save the life of one of our police officers. Again,
No, that's okay.
yeah,
That's
so it's, again, just want to thank you for those efforts made by yourself to further the cause of saving the officer. As it relates to Ms. May Smith, salary caps, again, that is a priority. of this commission, and not just on the campaign trail, but as well as from a policy standpoint. As it stated, relating to my contract, again, as you know, that the contract that was proposed is a status quo contract, which means that my salary will not increase. In fact, the job that I'm doing now, I'm actually doing this job at a lesser cost than I was as the deputy. So as it relates to that, not only did I hear that and set that tone in the negotiations of my contract between myself and the mayor, but from a policy standpoint, for manager and confidential employees in the budget that's being presented tomorrow, we've taken steps to adhere to what the will of this commission was, and that was to address the escalation of salaries. So again, that is part of the budget that will be presented July 1st. To the mayor commission as well as the public. So they're not just talking the talk, we're actually walking the walk as it relates to trying to deal with salary escalations. As it relates to the $1.6 million audit, there is a request for letters of interest that's currently out, a solicitation. That due date for that is July the 10th. So that information, all of the interested parties have to submit a letter of interest by July the 10th. Our goal is to have those reviewed and presented to our commission for July the 14th, if need be. Again, based on those letters of interest, if the letters fall within the city manager's signing authority, we will make that selection and move forward. If it falls outside of the city manager's signing authority, then we will have that before our commission on July the 14th in order for them to approve that selection and move forward. Mr. Lawrence Martin, as it relates to the public records request, yes, you are right. There were public records requests made, and we replied to the request that was made. And again, the request was for information, specific information that was submitted to the federal government as backup for the $1.6 million. So that information was provided. Now, we did have a further conversation for clarification as it related to the specifics, the additional items that were needed. As stated, those additional items were being requested from off-site because some of those older records were not on-site. That information is in the process of being accumulated and pulled. Now, there was an email that spoke to the audit. Again, that's the similar information that will be needed to carry forward or move forward with the audit that will be taking place. As it relates to an exemption, I'll defer to the city attorney or the city clerk as it relates to these specific exemptions. But we did reply saying that there was an audit underway and felt that there was an exemption that covered that information because it's being provided to the auditors for the audit. But as it relates to a time period, again, the information is being requested, and if I'm told by the city attorney or the clerk that the exemption doesn't apply, once we have all of that information in-house, then we'll be able to provide the request. But it was an extensive request as it related to that $1.6 million, and those records were off-site. Ms. LaToya London, as it relates to the noise ordinance, yes, we are familiar with that, and we actually met on site. As you know, you were present and had a conversation with you and your president, Mr. Walker, and we've had subsequent communication relating to performing code enforcement within your community. The city attorney has opined that we can move forward based on the email information received from Mr. Walker. I since over the weekend
I'm sorry to interject, City Manager, but we have a firm stop.
Okay.
For communication at 6:30. We can get the roll call for the 6:30 meeting, for commission meeting, and then we can go back to this. City Clerk.
Commissioner Campbell? Commissioner Dunn? Commissioner Hodgson?
Present.
Vice Mayor Martin?
Present.
Mayor Grant?
Present.
City Attorney Otnott?
Present.
City Manager Hobbs?
present.
If we can also stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We will also have a moment of silence for Chaplain Ron Perkins, who is a part of our community and has passed away. In addition to that, we would like a moment of silence as well for the 2 firefighters who were killed on duty in Idaho. We have Chaplain Cameron that's here, if he can come forward with our Chief, Mr. Torres, and they are also going to do a short prayer. Thank you. The pledge first.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence, please. Chaplain and Chief Torres. Chaplain Calderon.
Heavenly Father, Lord God, we thank you for your living presence with us. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. We pray for those firefighters who lost their lives in the ultimate sacrifice and service in Idaho. We pray for all of our first responders and military. Lord, we lift them up to you, we lift up their families, and we ask a blessing upon all of those affected. We ask that you bless and protect all of the first responders here in the city of Lauderhill, the department officials, the commission, and the mayor and deputy mayor. Lord, we're so grateful for all of the blessings that you bestow upon us. Bless this meeting. Bless everything that is done in the goal of keeping the city unified together. We make all our prayers and petitions in your holy name, and let us all say amen.
Amen. And Chaplain, if you could just say something very short regarding the chaplain that passed away as well, and Chief Torres.
So Father Ron Perkins, who is a police and fire chaplain who served several municipalities here in Broward County, including Fort Lauderdale, Coral Springs, Tamarack, Pompano Beach, and served as my backup as well, passed away unexpectedly while on vacation on an Alaskan cruise. And we're awaiting his remains to come back home so that a service is going to be conducted in the city of Fort Lauderdale, and Lauderhill Police and Fire Rescue and myself will be involved in that service. So I thank you so much for remembering him this evening. He was a dear friend.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I just want to say thank you so much for bringing this tragedy forward to the attention of everyone. This is obviously a huge shock to the fire service and our beloved fire service, and is the worst nightmare to every fire chief. Our people train every single day to prepare to save lives and do their job as they're so sworn, but never are they prepared to be confronted with a incident like this, where it was a tactical approach to attack them directly. They're not prepared for that. They'll never be. So thank you so much for bringing this forward. Our prayers are with the families of Idaho firefighters and the entire fire service community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chief. Thank you, Chaplain. City Manager.
Yes. As it relates to the noise ordinance, code enforcement is aware of that. As stated, we have an agreement in place to move forward with code enforcement in the community. The information needed to gain entry has been received, so that information will be provided to code enforcement so that they can not only start dealing with the noise ordinance, but also the noise complaints rather, but also the code enforcement issues within the community. So Mr. Daniel, who's over development services, has provided information, follow-up information to the code officers who will continue to monitor that area after hours, not only for the noise, but also their issues and concerns as relates to parking along the commercial corridor that they're aware of also. So they will continue to monitor, write tickets and tow those vehicles, and also enforce the noise ordinance as it sits, as it lays. Lastly, Ms. Greaves, as it relates to our communication with the school board, yes, we did send a letter that was stated. I did send that over, and we did receive some communication as it relates to meeting dates, but we were not able to, I guess you'll say, agree on meeting dates as it related to the school board. Now, we went further and actually had a joint meeting with the superintendent as well as the board chair and other mayors and city managers throughout the county that was held in Coconut Creek. We at that meeting also expressed our concerns as it related to the activities, the improvements, the dollars, all of the concerns that were conveyed in that letter at that joint meeting. So he heard directly from us as it related to that information. And during that meeting, they did agree to have subsequent meetings with staff and also the community as related to our concerns. As to a specific date, we have not been able to solidify that. We will, again, continue to follow up with them through our Intergovernmental Affairs Department. They will be the direct contact between ourselves and the school board. So through Zach's office, we'll continue to follow up to ensure that we have not just those internal meetings, but also the community meeting that was requested.
Thank you very much. And I know that Commissioner Campbell does have his light on. I wanted to ask you, City Manager, as it relates to the meeting with the superintendent. I know that that was through, what was that, Junior Achievement?
It was at the Junior Achievement, but it was through the Florida League
Of Cities?
of Cities.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So we haven't had one-on-one meetings with them?
Correct. We have
Okay.
not. We have not.
So I think that's what Ms. Grieve is mentioning. So we have not had one-on-one meetings. I know for sure I have had no dialogue with them as it relates to the changing of the names of schools. I'm not certain about my colleagues, but nevertheless, if we can try to set something up as soon as possible, because it seems as if things are moving very quickly on their end. So it's important for us to be in the know as it
Absolutely.
relates to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And thank you. I think she left. So Latoya, I was going to say, thank you so much for seeing the hard work that we are putting in as the dais, as leadership of this city. And I want to applaud, of course, our city manager, because if you have a city manager that works with you, things can get done. So we do appreciate you, Kenny Hobbs, for all that you are doing, and the entire team as well. I think we're working collectively together because ultimately it's for the betterment of the city. We're here to serve the community. All right, wonderful. And so Commissioner Campbell, as well as Commissioner Dunn. So Commissioner Campbell.
Kenny, just some clarification in regards to a request you had sent to the folks from the COVID funds. And what are you hoping to achieve there?
So as it related to the COVID funds, they've been made aware that the program is on hold. They've also been made aware of the, not potential, but the audit, the forensic audit that will take place, as well as their participation in that audit. So all of the participants that were part of the HHS as well as the LHPP grants have been made aware of the city's position. Our goal is for the auditors to come in and review not just where the dollars went, but also process. I think it's important to ensure for this dais that what the processes were as it related to the $3.8 million, not just the 1.6. I think we're looking at the grant as a whole, in addition to some of the subsequent LHPP grants. So it'll be not just a financial review from an audit perspective, but also a process review, as I understand from this dais.
The concern I have there is the 1.6
Yes, sir.
million is in addition to the grant itself. And the request for the rest of the grant was due in 2023. And are you expecting that they will, after being late 2 years, are you anticipating that they will award the rest of the grant?
No, I can tell you that the grant has expired. I will tell you that based on our communication, that the remaining dollars will not be awarded to the city as it relates to the 1.6. There's a request for reimbursement of that 1.6, which they've acknowledged receipt, and we're working with them I guess, to receive those dollars. But will additional dollars be provided because there were other dollars that were not part of the 1.6 that was requested? No, as it relates to those dollars, because the grant is closed at this point, so there will not be any additional dollars received in addition to the 1.6 if those are received.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think aloud. When you say reimburse for the 1.6,
Yes.
who actually are you anticipating? The 1.6 has nothing to do with the grant.
So the 1.6 is a reimbursement request that we've made to the federal government because we've expended those dollars. So those dollars have gone to the list of vendors that we provided previously. So those dollars have gone to those vendors. As it relates to the audit will review those expenditures to ensure that processes were correct, that reimbursement requests were correct, and if there were any issues relating to those, then they would make recommendations as to how we move forward. The second part of that had to do with financial reporting, which was done to the federal government, which was the grantor of those dollars. That, I can tell you, the reporting date had passed, so that was the late request that we made as related to those 1.6. So there are two things happening as it relates to the audit, is for them to review the grants from a process perspective, and then also review it from a financial reporting perspective.
The concern I have there is that the folks who awarded the grant will be more concerned about how properly the funds were used.
Correct.
So I assume somewhere they're going to investigate.
Okay.
Fine. But I can't see how they will be concerned about the 1.6, which they did not spend it and they did not approve it. And therefore, it's going to be up to the city to determine how they are going to approach to get back that 1.6 if it's possible. I am concerned that even if the feds do investigate, they are doing so in their interests about their money. I'm not sure how the city should move forward to ensure that we go and try to get the monies that were spent from the city. Because at the end of the day, if folks are accountable for the grant money, I don't see how you can say to the grant money, the folks, that they must reimburse 1.6, which they had nothing to do with the 1.6. So if we do not begin, and Mr. Attorney, we probably have to think of the legal possibilities, how we can recoup some of that monies that were not supposed to be spent with the COVID money. Because the city and the auditing that we're requesting, I hear they think that we should wait. We're going to get more detail with the audit, but we have so far tons of information. We see where the checks went. So the audit will just give us more detail in regards to the checks, but the checks are there. So I'm not sure that there's nothing that we can do independent of the audit, because if we wait for a significant time, we probably need to just write off that 1.6. And it is so sad that it's the ordinary folks, taxpayers, that will be contending with that reality that the 1.6 just disappear like that. And if I may comment on the salary also, for the public to understand that we did not negotiate salaries as it relates to the city manager. We came here and that was his salary. What we did was to cap the salaries so that 5-10 years from now, we are not saddled with a salary that is totally out of control. That's all we could have done at that point in time. It's difficult to promote someone and then cut their salary. Those of us who are not accountant, we just couldn't come up with a good reason. But I am concerned about the 1.6, and the longer we don't put in place a possibility of recouping that 1.6, it seems like we're going to call that 1.6 a loss. The final thing, I understand that S.A. Nelson had reached out requesting a meeting. Is that the case?
That's correct.
I don't know if there's a possibility for us to ask S.A. Nelson to provide a detailed report, since they were the ones managing these funds. And so far, the reports we're getting here at City Hall are bits and pieces. I have not seen a comprehensive report. And I think we should not be meeting until we have documents in front of us that is presented prior. So if the city meets, we can refer to the report that is given to us. And that report also should be provided to the folks that the grant came from, because in 2023, that report should have been sent to them, and it was not. And I'm not sure you are sending stuff to them, but not a report to say how the initial funds were spent.
Okay, we're gonna kind of wrap this segment up because this is still communications from the public. All right, and we can speak of it more extensively at another time. Is that okay?
Fine with me.
Okay, great. Thank you. I see Commissioner Dunn has her hand up.
Yes, thank you. In regards to Broward Estates Elementary School, I have been going to the community meetings at the school for the Learning Center. I've attended 2 of those, and I believe I saw you at one of those meetings. Additionally, there was a survey that was put out to the community around the naming of the school. So I'm not sure if you guys got included in that survey, but I did see one went out to the community to choose the name of the Learning Center. Yeah, no. I'm just,
Okay, you have to come to the mic, but if we can just, I know that Commissioner Kemp, yes, please.
yeah. But anyways, I'm just saying that, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Dunn.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just to very briefly let you know, it was hand selected. The email that was sent out to the community was to the community members that attended the meeting when they were talking about last year, about whether or not to close the school. It went to those, which was parents who's no longer at the school. So it didn't go to the community.
Okay, got it. All right. Thank you so much for that information. Okay, wonderful. Does that now conclude communications from the public? Okay, great. So communications from the public is now concluded, and we are going to begin with our regular scheduled meeting. Is there any housekeeping, Vice Mayor?
No.
No housekeeping at present. And now we will go about the approval of the minutes. And so item A, minutes of the City Commission meeting for February 10th, 2025. I would like to have a motion.
So moved.
A second? A motion and a second. City Clerk.
Campbell, Commissioner Dunn, Commissioner Hodgson, Vice Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Grant.
Yes. 5-0. And item B, minutes of the City Commission meeting for February 25th, 2025.
Motion. So moved.
May I have a second? I have a motion and a second. City Clerk.
Who seconded?
I beg your pardon?
Okay.
John T.
Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Dunn, Commissioner Hodgson, Vice Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Grant.
Yes, 5-0. And minutes of the City Commission meeting for April 14th, 2025. May I have a motion?
So moved.
A second? A second? I have a motion, Vice Mayor, second, Commissioner John T. City Clerk.
Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Dunn, Commissioner Hodgson, Vice Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Grant.
Yes, thank you so much, and that is 5-0. We will now move on to proclamations and commendations, and this is a 10 minutes maximum. And we have a proclamation honoring Mr. Walter Morris, and this has been requested by Commissioner John T. Hudson.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. It's certainly a pleasure to honor this outstanding gentleman, Mr. Walter Morris. Whereas Mr. Walter Morris has served the city of Lauderhill with distinction and commitment through his role in the Code Enforcement Division since 2019. And whereas prior to joining the city, Mr. Morris dedicated 30 years of his career to the electronics industry, specializing in sales and management and traveling extensively throughout Central and South America and the Caribbean. And whereas, following his retirement from his first career, Mr. Morris pursued further education in code enforcement, inspired by the recommendation of a colleague, reflecting his dedication to lifelong learning and public service. And whereas, beyond his professional life, Mr. Morris has long served his community as a volunteer, being elected twice as the president of his condominium and given over 20 years of service to the city of Fort Lauderdale's Park and Recreation Department. And whereas his diverse background, compassionate nature, and commitment to public education have made him a respected figure in the community who strives to help residents understand city rules and regulations while treating each individual with dignity and respect. And whereas Mr. Morris' thoughtful approach to problems resolution has made him a trusted resource and valued liaison between city government and the residents it serves. And whereas his unwavering commitment and personal pride in his work have had a meaningful impact on both residents and colleagues alike, contributing to a safer and more unified Lauderhill. And whereas one such resident, Dr. Gwendolyn Denton, returned to personally thank and recognize Mr. Morris for his kindness, compassion, and outstanding service. In gratitude, she presented a special plaque honoring his compassion, which will be presented alongside this proclamation. And whereas this proclamation has been requested by Commissioner John T. Hudson, and therefore I, John T. Hudson, Commissioner of the City of Lauderhill, along with the Mayor Denise Grant, Vice Mayor Sir Ray Martin, Commissioners Richard Campbell, Melissa P. Dunn, do hereby proclaim June 30, 2025 as the Walter Morris Day. and recognize and commend Mr. Walter Morris for exemplary public service, compassion, and professionalism, and extend our deepest gratitude for his continued contribution to the city of Lauderhill. The list is signed by the Mayor, Denise Grant.
Wonderful.
I also have an addition recognition award here, compliments of Dr. Gwendolyn. Dr. Gwendolyn, okay, this is from, let me make sure here. Yes, Dr. Gwen Denton, that's the correct name. Recognition award present to Walter Morris Code Enforcement in appreciation for your life-saving efforts and assisting me in promptly resolving my issues. You are a hero and Superman.
Wow.
With my deepest appreciation, Dr. Gwen Denton, 2025. I'm going to ask my colleague to stand as I go
Yes,
front and take a
absolutely.
picture.
Well deserved, well deserved.
It is certainly a pleasure, sir, to present you this proclamation. And of course, the recognition award. How about the wrong place? All right, we need to issue a citation.
Great, thank you. Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you. Yay!
Thank you. If I can say something real quick, I just wanted to thank Ms. Denton for her appreciation of my efforts. I also wanted to thank the city commissioner and the mayor for everything that they do for our fine city. The city government leaders, Mr. Hobbs over here, and Sean, have all been great, and I really appreciate their efforts, and I see it every day. The folks that I work with in code enforcement are all very professional, and I'm very lucky to have my affiliation with them. My supervisors are more than supervisors, they're leaders, and that's a real distinction. And after 73 years young,
Yay.
I'm blessed to work with and for the city of Lauderhill's family of residents, and that's how I feel like we are.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
Mayor,
so
can
much.
I just, Mayor, can I just add
yes,
one point?
Absolutely, sir.
And Mr. Walter, you are appreciated. I can tell you that when we interviewed Mr. Walter, at the time, I was actually over code enforcement. He stood out because he made it a point to actually come to our code board meetings even before applying for the position. So he would attend, listen, and participate in our code board meetings even before the position was open and posted. So again, he was showing dedication and true for the field of code enforcement, a true love for it, because not only did he do that, but because he was a part-time employee, initially, the city did not pay for certifications and those things. And Walter would take it upon himself and still obtain the continuing education and obtain those needed certifications, even though the city wasn't reimbursing him for it. So again, he has shown his dedication to the area of code enforcement and to the city of Lauderhill.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful. So, City Manager, I don't see on here that you are going to present the new deputy. Is it on?
I was going to do it as part of public communication
Oh.
from, that was my plan.
That is it. Okay, okay, wonderful. And so at this time, we're going to now have presentations, which are 15 minutes maximum. The first presentation is going to be a presentation on the House bill, and that is House Bill 913 and House Bill 393 regarding regulations for condos. And as we know that we've been having these challenges for many years, starting with Surfside, and having to do our 40-year inspections, then they turn to 30 years inspections, and many other things have changed along the way as the state has been trying to figure this thing out. In the process of them figuring things out, our residents have been appealing to us. We know that we have a lot of condo owners in the city of Lauderhill, and they are struggling, in particular, our seniors who are on fixed income. And so as the assessment fees go up, as the HOA fees go up and everything else, their monies that are coming in, it stays the same. And from the city level, we've tried our very best to assist and try to figure out what it is that we can do ethically and otherwise to be able to provide some relief. And we're still working that out, right, City Manager? We're still working that out. We're having conversations continuously to be able to assist our residents as it relates to that. So we understand that the governor has now signed a bill, and within that bill, it's about 90-something pages of language, which explains various amendments and modifications and some new things as well. And as you know, since this new leadership took form, we have added our Department of Intergovernmental Affairs, and Zach is the person who is over that, Mr. Zach Davis Esquire. And so he is the person that is interfacing with our policymakers on the state level as well as on the federal level. So when things come out in real time, Zach grabs that information and he ensures that all of us understand what is going on. And so we're so grateful for this new department, and we understand how relevant it is in this time. So Zach, I am going to turn it over to you as you will give us an update and just make it very plain for us.
Yes, ma'am.
Those of us who don't have a legal background. And so to be able to understand, and what we will do after this is we will have perhaps maybe a one-sheeter where they will, the things that are most important highlight, we can just highlight those things and send it out to our residents, in particular those that are in the condos. And I know our vice mayor has taken that on very strongly since 2020, having such meetings. So we'll get his database, right, Vice Mayor? And be able to send that out to those individuals.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Zach Davis Walker, Director of Intergovernmental Affairs. As the mayor stated, it's a 92-page bill or piece of legislation. It's actually two pieces of legislation that was signed by Governor DeSantis that will go into effect July 1. That's HB 913 and HB 393. I'm going to just briefly do some of the highlights because the state's intent is obviously to reduce some of the financial burdens that resulted from the legislation that came subsequent to Surfside. As you know, there's a 30-year inspection requirement and certain reserves that are required for condo associations to deal with the structural integrity of condos to ensure that there's not any additional collapses. Unfortunately, that resulted in massive hikes to assessments and an overall collapse of the condo industry, where you have a lot of people that were trying to sell their units because of those assessments that it was unaffordable, and people trying to move out. So HB 913, I'm just going to briefly go over some of the, like I said, the highlights, and subsequent to this meeting, we'll develop like a one-pager so the condo association presidents can, reference that. And I'm sure that each of their attorneys will provide them with some updates as well. So essentially, this bill provides immediate relief for the sudden cost burden of fee assessments by extending the reserve study requirement for 1 year and allowing a 2-year pause in reserve fund contributions to prioritize funding of critical repairs identified in the milestone inspection. So we were at December, and this is no longer 1 year at this point, but now, as opposed to December 31, 2024, they now have until December 31, 2025 to do those milestone inspections. They have increased the replacement cost of repairs required to be reserved and considered in the Structural Integrity Reserve Study, that's a SIRS, from $10,000 to $25,000, which is adjusted annually for inflation. This prioritizes more critical repairs for the association, or for anything that's actual life safety. It changes the requirement for mandatory structural inspections to apply to buildings that are 3 habitable stories or more. Prior legislation was 3 stories, so it's kind of a generalization. So think of, different buildings that may have had 4 stories, but one of those stories wasn't necessarily habitable. Yeah. So it allowed condo association members to vote to create special assessments or secure a line of credit or a loan to fund the maintenance reserves required by law. So although they've increased it, now there's an alternative method of funding the reserves, so it's not all falling on the unit owner. And it also requires full disclosure of potential conflicts of interest and mandates competitive bidding for contracts to make repairs or doing those studies that are required by law. So as Vice Mayor is probably well aware, we receive a lot of inquiries from our residents specific to concerns with their board members. So now the state requires CAMs, which are Community Association Managers, which is run by the Department of Business Professional Regulation. If licenses are revoked, they are prohibited for 10 years to having any involvement, indirect or direct, with a condo association management company. So this is really to try to get those bad actors, weed them out, to ensure that the people that are doing these assessments or doing the management of a condo association are, abiding by the laws of the state of Florida. They also have conflict disclosures, like I said. So some relatives of mine, they live in Lauderhill, they have condos, and they'll call and inquire, like, hey, man, I don't trust my treasurer. And, what we're able to do is refer them to the ombudsman. Unfortunately, we can't obviously get involved in those private matters. But what this does is now requires a written disclosure to the condo association of any conflicts or potential conflicts that they have. So if they're related to someone on the board, this all has to be up front. In the event they don't do that, the contract's voidable with the condo association, and that's by statute. Also, the pre-sale disclosure. Currently, when you're purchasing a condo, there's a disclosure that's in big letters in your purchase contract if you're subject to 553, which means you're subject to those milestone inspections. And you have to say, hey, we have a milestone inspection, or we're required to have it, and they must provide that report. So previous legislation limited the rescission period, meaning the period in which a buyer could say, you know what, I looked at this assessment, there's a little bit too much going on. It was 3 days that they had to say, hey, I rescind my offer, I don't want to move forward. That's been extended to 7 days. And lastly, the one actionable item for city staff is this amendment now requires that in our code of ordinances, we adopt legislation that says after a phase 2 or receipt of a phase 2 study, they must complete those repairs within 365 days of receipt. So prior to that, it was a May. So now we're going to have to look at our code and make those amendments subject to HB 913 and the amendments that were passed there. So now I'm going to speak to HB 393, which is about it amends the My Safe Florida Condominium Pilot Program. So those are those hardening grants for condos. So it narrows it, but it's a little bit more targeted in its approach. So that limits grant funding to improvements that will result in a mitigation credit, discount, or other rate differential for building or structures to which the improvement is made. So insurance companies, if you do a new roof, so hurricane hardening, there's certain credits that you can get. So now you're only going to get that funding for those type of improvements. It lowers the approval requirements from all unit owners to 75% of unit owners who reside in the affected structure. So in order to get one of those grants, you have to do a mitigation study. Previous legislation required that you had to have unanimous vote by everyone on the board. That's been reduced to 75% of the board to start the process. It updates eligible improvements to allow for the replacement of roof coverings. It prohibits a condo from applying for an inspection or a grant if an association has not complied with the SIRS, that's that structural integrity something study. I forgot what it was. Structural integrity reserve study. Thank you, whoever said that. And the milestone inspection requirements. Then it restricts eligibility to buildings that are 3 or more stories in height and contain at least 2 single-family dwelling units. So that was specific to the grant program associated with My Safe Florida Condominium Pilot Program. And as I said, it's extensive. A lot of the amendments were clarifying amendments, so not all of them are substantive, but I figured I'd highlight the most impactful that are going to be coming out of this legislation.
Very, very, very good. This is good stuff. Now, are they sending any money to the people?
Well, by way of the pilot program.
I'm sorry?
By way of the pilot program. So that's what the state uses, and I think it's up to $150,000 that you can be eligible for per structure for those types of improvements. So that's the only thing that's provided for by this amendment through that Florida grant program.
So do they have to apply for that? So the HOA
Yes,
applies for it? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So the association would take the lead on applying for that, And like I said, there's certain things that they have to meet. They have to make sure that they're compliant with their SIRS and their milestone inspections. And they made it easier for an association to vote to do that. So I guess in the past, certain board members are hesitant to go through with the mitigation report because, yeah, it's going to tell you what's wrong and what things you're eligible for, but it might also, or not might, but it could also highlight those things that aren't necessarily eligible for expenses, but now it's on the radar, so that.
Okay, got it. So along with that one sheeter, which I think is going to be very important, in the past, the vice mayor and myself had done that 40-year inspection for them. Remember that? Maybe we can do that again as a city manager, and then be able to just break it down and give the HOA presidents this information, especially when it comes to how they can apply to get some monies. Because if they apply, they receive the monies, then that will help the residents as well, or the condo owners.
We'll be
in terms of
prepared.
some relief, okay? So we
Yes.
can talk some more about that. All right, wonderful, thank you so much. All right, so typically with these sort of presentations, we do hear from the dais, and then would you like to say something as well? You can come to, well, we're kind of going out of order, but that's because your hair is just so cute, so we're just going to make that exception
It was
to
just
that.
a suggestion to add to that one sheeter, how they can report their condo association, because a lot of our residents are not privy to that information. And sometimes when they disagree with the HOA presidents, they don't get that information. And so I am dealing with clients right now that can't refinance their homes because they don't have enough reserves and things of that nature, and they don't know who to go to. So on that one sheeter, we need that information as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know this was out of.
Fair enough, and duly noted. I'll go through, I see that Commissioner Dunn has her hand up. What about the other commissioners? Go ahead, Commissioner Dunn.
Yes, Zach, I actually would like to request an update because I hear that effective tomorrow, there's going to be 100 new laws in Florida, from healthcare to public safety to animal control.
Yes, ma'am.
So it would be helpful if we could get an update on what they are and what the impact they will have on the city.
Thank you so much. I believe I sent those over
ma'am.
to you guys, and then I saw that the city attorney as well.
Yep.
So you had mentioned city attorney, we're going to
Yes,
send it to everybody.
I'm going to send it to Zach. The League of City have
Yeah.
laws that specifically deals with local government. So Zach, I will send you that too. You could distribute it
Yeah,
and edit if you want.
he has it. As a
Yeah,
matter of
is it-
fact, he and I
is it-
spoke about it. And the plan is for him to go through it
And then be
and
able
develop
to-
a summary.
Okay.
Forward that out in writing and then touch on some of the highlights at the next meeting.
Okay, great. Yes. Thank you so much, Commissioner Dunn. Anything else from my colleagues having to do with this? Yes? No? Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Zach. Very helpful. Okay. We will now have item B, and this is a presentation of the Public Safety Initiative and a strategic plan. The strategic plan part, our city manager is just going to do like an overview, just to talk about some of the things you're going to do with your departments, having to do with public safety. As we know, it's a comprehensive plan. And so every single department in the city, as I sit with the city manager, is going to have some sort of initiative or program having to do with public safety. And they're going to be as creative as possible. In fact, we were having a conversation regarding Parks and Rec, and even when it comes to programming, public safety as well, we have to look at the concept of even conflict resolution, being able to have restraint, being able to teach these kids that sometimes stepping aside is strength, humility, strength, those sort of things that sometimes they don't have those sort of tools in their toolboxes. That is a part of public safety. Because if they now can restrain themselves and the incident occurs, they literally have the bandwidth to be able to not interact or entertain those sort of negative things. To learning how to make good decisions is also a part of public safety. We're already doing a lot of that, but we're taking a look at all of our programs in every single department and see how we can now beef that up and ensure that a public safety initiative or program is attached to each department. And so the city manager is working with his team, his leadership team, along with each department head to ensure that that is happening. And he's just going to give us an overview. But we wanted to show you what we did when it came to the Public Safety Forum. We have a short video, and it was absolutely incredible and well received by the community. And this is not just something that we just had an event. Great things have already come out of this. So bear with us. We're going to be having these conversations often, and you will also be seeing a lot of application and a lot of relevant and effective execution as well. In Macon, the goal is to make Lauderhill a safer community, and we are on our way to that. Thank you.
So again, I want to welcome you. I want to thank our mayor, our city commission, city manager. I know we have some department directors here, our law enforcement, everyone who came out today to participate in this event.
Indeed, this is a great city. We are 66 years old this year. Isn't that incredible? And the city of Lauderhill, the history is great. And not only is the history great, but it is profound. We have great treasures in this wonderful city.
Because I do believe that this is a community thing. It takes all of us in order for us to address crime. Crime isn't just a police problem. And I have this conversation with our police chief all the time.
But the people who also can have a major impact on what we're doing, and this is not a slight to anyone, but do the same thing with your state representatives. Do the same thing with your congressional men and women who represent you in your area. Because sometimes they may not be as tangible or easy to reach, but have them come to your meetings as well too, because whatever legislation is proposed in Tallahassee or in Washington, D.C., they're at the forefront of it.
And one of the reasons we do these things is because we find that they work, because they give us an opportunity, one, to have direct communication with the community.
I mean, there are ways that we will attack violent crime as well. One of the most important thing is I have to get through my community is stop leaving your keys in your car and you won't lose it.
Our elderly population are sometimes embarrassed when they do come upon that, but please don't. We have a detective that's assigned to our criminal investigations unit. He handles fraud. So we go out, we educate the public, we go to HOA meetings, provide information. I know we just recently did something with our chamber where we talked about fraud and gave them different examples. So it's out there, and when in doubt, always call. That's what we're here for.
Trauma-informed counseling, sometimes because of the trauma we've had in our jobs getting to where we are, we're trying to make sure others that look like us are definitely prepared, but they might not receive it like that, and we might issue it too harshly. And so sometimes we need to kind of take a step back and say, am I giving them too much of a push? And sometimes you got to let them bump their own head, not knock it off.
We don't talk to our family members. We don't talk within our community. And so if you're not taught about how to facilitate safety and healing, you recreate what you know, even if what that recreation is violence.
Schools, which we're part of, and in every entity where this issue of mental health issue, which deals also with violence, we've seen it start from a very early age. And it must be a perpetual process that brings healing holistically.
But not too long ago, 3 months ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, another vulnerable person died from one of the good guys. So that's my question today. I'm here to ask, what is the progress? What did we do?
Well, ultimately, the people that can control accountability and transparency are the leaders. Hands down. If you're going to be a sheriff, do what a sheriff's supposed to do. If you're going to be a chief, do what a chief is supposed to do. And that's not just protect this community from criminals, but to protect the community from internal problems and officers who abuse their conduct.
This is not just a conversation just to have, but this is a conversation where we have learned some things and we indeed will be implementing. In fact, we will be reviewing the tape, viewing the video to make sure that we're not missing any of those important information and the nuggets. And so again, thank you to Dr. Alexander, our moderator, for this session. We do appreciate it, as well as our sheriff, Gregory Tony. Quite spirited, isn't he?
And it takes, we need priorities, and I alluded to this earlier.
We need better priorities morally, culturally within our communities, but also with resources in our local governments. Call it tough love, I don't care, but it's the truth because I see the reality of it. I see it every day. And I see where we're missing the mark as a community. On the front end, we worry too much about the back end. We worry too much about what's in the media, but we're worried about the outcome, but we're not worried about what happens before we get to the outcome. And that's what we're lacking as a community.
And I was doing everything that they were talking about doing in the music videos. I thought it was cool, just like all these kids think what they're seeing in the music videos is cool. But it's not cool because the thing is, it's consequences over control. Consequences over self-control. If you lose self-control, that lack of self-control could cost you 20 years of your life.
And I just believe when we collaborate, when we celebrate each other, we can move mountains, women. When we get together to do things, we're unstoppable. So we need to celebrate, we need to collaborate with women. When we go out into the community, bring a bunch of women with you because the cause is great. The need is great.
Folks, a crisis level situation for us in South Florida and in Broward especially, because we have some of the highest domestic violence numbers in the state, in the country. Lauderhill is number 1 in the county. That's why we're doing things with the chief, like instituting a new mobile advocacy response unit that we're going to have on the ground here, that will be on the ground here as a pilot program.
Again, judging people's choices when you don't know what their options were. People are being they're being the best they know how, the best they've learned how to be. And it's up to us to teach them something different.
But God had a different plan for them. But the other thing is this. It's one thing to know who you are and whose you are. It's a whole other thing to do something with it.
So it's good that we tell the kids, be positive, go after the things you believe for. However, as parents, as adults, as caregivers, we play a major role in providing that substance, providing that background, providing that foundation so the kids can stand and build on.
But we also have to remember that when young children have been exposed to trauma, it lies deep within them. So one of the things we need to be thinking about, how do we build those social emotional skills? And that's the foundation. Once we're building those social emotional skills so they could master, to be able to articulate and talk about how they feel. I feel hangry, instead of going to school and fussing it out, fighting it out, right? So I think it goes both ways.
Because people can sometimes be a product of their environment. So I think that this is perhaps one of the most important conversations for us to have today, dealing with this. But one of the greatest things that come out of this is that there is hope and there is help. And if you need help, you seek help. Because when something is revealed, that means it's time for it to be healed.
It was a little bit longer, but I tested, it was like 5 minutes or so, but it just seemed much longer. But thank you to everyone that participated, everyone that helped to coordinate, our city manager, his team, our police department, our chief, for helping to be a part of this and spearheading this. Thank you to our fire department as well. Thank you to all of the departments that came together to help us to make this a very successful forum. But of course, the work continues. And so we all collectively, all of us, Ray has his law enforcement background. Richard Campbell, you know, he's a master of everything. So he's, I was hoping, I didn't do it, I promise you. We have another one with you in it. We play that next week. And of course, John T., former police officer, Commissioner Dunn, who does a lot of work when it comes to peace, or Peace 365 as well, and our city attorney. And so we all together are going to be working to put things forward. Now, City Manager, I'll turn this over to you. This was a more extensive video. We just got this, when was it, 2 days ago? But Commissioner Campbell, we have one with you in it. We're playing that next week. Yes, sir. We're all of y'all in it. Okay, go ahead.
I won't take up much of your time.
Yeah.
But as the mayor mentioned, from a staff perspective, we are working on strategic priorities and plans based on the current strategic plan. We do have staff that's reviewing the current strategic plan. Don John Coley, who works with us here in the finance department, he is Dr. Don Jan Coley, actually. So he has volunteered to work with us on that. We've had at least 2 meetings internally with the department directors to review those values. As the mayor mentioned, one of the things that's prevalent is that from a safety standpoint, and that being one of the priorities, is that we recognize that safety isn't just a police thing, and I'll use that term. In our discussions, just amongst the department directors, it became apparent that to promote public safety, it actually impacts all of our departments. The parks departments, the public works department, the finance department, the utilities. So all departments must participate in moving forward from a public safety standpoint. As it relates to our strategic plan, we will have a more extensive presentation that Don will be making on July the 15th as part of the city manager's proposed budget presentation. The presentation this year will be a little different than in past years, where the departments will make presentations on the services that they provide. So it'll be clear to our residents what each department priority is, how that ties back to our various strategic plans and our priorities as we move forward. But there will also be a discussion specifically relating to the strategic plan, where we'll make a short presentation to the commission with the understanding that it requires input from the commission and public, with the goal of having a more final document by October of this year. So the goal is to have a presentation from Don on July the 15th. Then there will be subsequent communication, one-on-one communications with the various commissioners, the mayor and the commission, as well as follow-up at the department level, and then a presentation, a draft presentation in September once the commission comes back from summer break, and then at the October workshop, a final presentation. So again, we are recognizing that public safety is a priority, and working with all of the departments through the strategic planning process to ensure that there is full participation, not just at the mayor and commission level, but also at the resident level as well. And that is part of this process. It's a living document that we have, so there will be opportunities for the public to comment, and we're working through those strategies. I've assigned a staff member to kind of coordinate with the department directors to ensure that there's participation at the department director level, not just at the department director level, but even at the staff level as well. So this is a working document and a priority of this commission. Therefore, it's a priority of myself and my staff. Mayor, at this point, I did intend to do this during the public officials' comments, but it's probably no better time at this point to make an introduction. So, Chief, if you'll come up. Also, today, I believe, is his first day. We do have a new deputy police chief as well that is joining us today. Today being his first day, I'll allow the chief to make the formal introduction, and if you want to take a few minutes to speak, that'll be good at this point, Chief.
So y'all see that height, right? Unfortunately, because of his height and his long arms, he's dressed in a suit right now because they didn't have a uniform that would fit him. So we're working on that. But Kevin Granville is formerly a retired major from the Broward Sheriff's Office. He's been in law enforcement. I knew him prior to him coming here today. He's also the current vice president of Noble. That's the national organization of Black law enforcement officers, which I am a member. And just so you know, there is a conference in August, which is going to be held locally here in Hollywood. So I registered for that. I got to support, the new deputy chief. But he will come up and just talk a little bit about his history and his time in law enforcement. One thing that I learned recently, which I didn't know in the past, we both born and raised in Miami. On the same street, just different avenue. So we had a deep conversation about some of the things. And what was most important to me, and I guess it's a Dade County thing, in his application, and I read thoroughly everything, he made reference to why he got into this profession. And he mentioned while in school, he was impacted by some officers that came there. Right now we have SROs in the schools, but back then, when I was coming up, it was officer friendly. And that was one of my reasons for getting into law enforcement, which again, Kevin expressed, that's why he got into to this field. So very impactful from a young man, and he pursued it, and I think spent 31 years in law enforcement. And, you know, he just said that he wanted to get back into the business. And anyway, he met with staff today, didn't meet with everybody yet, but he'll make his rounds. So again, without further ado, Kevin Granville.
And as he makes his way, if I may, just to add, one of the things I know that the chief mentioned that stood out to us as we went through this interview process as well was Mr. Granville's involvement in the community. I think that was one of the things that stood out to us, and I can tell you from a top-down philosophy, that's very important. It's in community engagement, community involvement, and we use the term often community policing, but I think I can tell you that from this commission, from this administration, it's very important that we are involved and take a proactive stance in our involvement. So that was one of the things I can tell you that really stood out when we went through the interview process and reviewing your information, is your level of involvement. And one of the things that you stated prior to coming to the interview, you actually made a stop at some of the local businesses and had discussions with them on your way to the interview. And that's the type of proactive activity that we're looking for from our police. And the chief and I have had these discussions on our vision and what the vision is as we move forward. So again, that was one of the things that really stood out, and your involvement in the youth and those type of programs that you've headed up in your 31-year career. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. I don't know where to begin. Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Chief Stanley, Mr. City Manager, to the residents, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to continue to serve. As stated, I completed a 31-year career at the Broward Sheriff's Office, and very proud of my time over there, in which I was able to institute a lot of the programs. And as the city manager alluded to, you know, once the application process started, I visited several businesses here in the city and just asked them, you know, what do you see from your police department that you like? What don't you like? What would you like to see more of? And anticipating that this is what God had for me at this particular time, I wanted to come into the door and come into the organization already having some established relationships. And so as my time as during my service at BSO, serving as a district chief in several of our districts, was some of the stuff that I did, you know, as a chief, and met with the business owners and met with the residents, understanding that they are the pillars of the community and we need to get their buy-in. So I'm very grateful and thankful for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to learning from Chief Stanley and serving the community and working with everyone, and let's get to work.
Wonderful. Welcome. Yes, thank you so much. We're looking forward to working with you. I know that Chief Stanley is very excited about you coming on board, and we just look forward to all the things that you're going to add, all the value. I think one of the things that the city manager had mentioned before was about programming. You're very good with that, and you've done this. And I think at our police forum as well, the sheriff Tony mentioned that you had created and implemented a lot of those youth programs in BSO. So excited to have you on board. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Anything else? Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Vice Mayor Martin.
Well, welcome aboard. Happy to have you. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Dunn.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner John T.
I can't add anything. Just said all I wanted to hear.
Yes. Everything. Yes. And City Attorney.
Mayor, I want to welcome, but he has one negative.
Oh, what is it?
He graduated from Miami Northwestern.
Oh.
I went to the River High School down the street.
Oh, wow. Okay. We have all Miami people here. And I see Lawrence in the back going, what's that? Which one is it?
That's my fraternity.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
good. Yeah, I'm sure I did it wrong. But okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you
Thank
so
you. Thank
much. Yeah. Okay, and so at this time, we have concluded all of our presentations. Thank you very much. And we are now going over to our ordinances. And the first ordinance is a second reading. So we will ask for the city attorney to read that for us.
Item number one, an ordinance of the City of Commission of City of Lauderhill granting a development order to the Lauderhill Community Redevelopment Agency to amend the zoning district map, identifying land development regulations, Article 3, zoning districts, Part 2.0, district regulations, subsection 2.2.1, adoption of zoning district map, changes from general commercial to residential single family, and including the allocation of 9 residential flex units for the zone district of 2.1 acre parcel with the legal description as provided herein, more commonly known as 5440, 5456 Northwest 19th Street, Lauderhill, Florida, providing for findings and conclusion, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for effective date. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much. And this is our second reading, so we have gone over everything. And I believe at the last time, our commission asked all the questions that were necessary. So I would like to ask for a motion.
So moved.
A second? We have a motion. We have a second by Commissioner John T.
Yes.
And so now we are open to the public. We are close to the public. City Clerk, if you can please call the vote.
Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Dunn. Yes. Commissioner Hodgson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Grant.
Yes, and this has been passed 5-0. Thank you so much. We are now going to our consent agenda. And our consent agenda, we have been given at least a week to be able to go over these particular items. These are items that have been discussed with the commission by the city manager and his other teams. And so at this particular time, if you would like to pull any of these items, you can still do so. I will give you 60 seconds to go through the consent agenda and indicate the item that you would like pulled. If we can please have 60 seconds on the clock. I am going to pull 5B, 5C, 5D, 5E, and it looks like 5F, but I will be very short.
5B, 5C.
5B, 5C, 5D, 5E, and 5F.
Okay.
Yes. We have 30 seconds left. And what is the pleasure of my colleagues? Okay, and I see some, go ahead. Yes. And A, 5A? Okay, all right. So that is number 2 and 5A. We have 2 seconds left. I see that Mr. Lawrence Martin, you're pulling. Yep. Number 4 and 5A. Okay.
5A is pulled.
Yes, 5A is already pulled. Okay, perfect. And so at this time, I will turn it over to our city attorney and he will read the registration.
So, and we have a motion to approve the one so. No.
That's right.
So moved.
Can we please have a motion?
So moved.
A second? Motion and a second, and open to the public, close to the public. City Clerk.
Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Dunn. Yes. Commissioner Hodgson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Grant.
Yes. And that has been passed 5-0. Wonderful. Okay. So at this particular time, I am going to turn this over to our city attorney.
Yes. Item 2, resolution number 25R-06-109, resolution of City Commission of City of Lauderhill awarding request for proposal number 2024-037, collection service to Penn Credit Union, IC System, authorizing city managers to negotiate agreements with both companies, providing for an effective date. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, wonderful. And so this item has been pulled by Commissioner Dunn.
Yes, so and I shared this in my meeting earlier with the city attorney and the city manager, a quick Google search of the applicants, one of them in particular, I discovered a legal issue. And so I'd just like staff to address that and clarify that, please.
Okay, wonderful. Can you elaborate a bit more, or you know
Yeah,
the item,
city attorney.
the issue?
Yes, Commissioner Dunn gave us deferred prosecution order relating to Penn Credit Corporation, which they were, I believe, charged with a criminal indictment. I would ask you, to at least the manager have a copy, I have a copy, to follow up with them and find out what's the gist of the matter. Okay?
Yeah, and so based on a quick scanning of the item, they ended up having to pay back, I think it was the Department of Justice,
Yes.
200 and something $1,000. And so I think it's important when we choose vendors, particularly one that's going to be collecting money, that we're clear about their integrity and their ethics. So I'm concerned.
Just follow up.
Okay. All right, thank you. The mayor stepped away to the bathroom. I'll continue. City manager, you had any comments about it?
No, as stated, the information was provided. It has been provided to staff for follow-up. We'll do the follow-up and coordinate with the city attorney.
So I'd like to suggest a motion to table this item.
Yeah, I would second that.
Madam Clerk, can you call the vote?
Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Grant.
Yes. And we're tabling it. So we are tabling this item for further, yes, due diligence. Okay, wonderful. And now we are at resolution number 25R-06-111, item number 4.
Yes, a resolution of City Commission of City Law here approving the 2025 amended and restate transportation system surtax interlocal agreement with Broward County and incorporating here and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement and the city manager to do all things necessary to effectuate the resolution, providing for effective date. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you kindly. And so this item has been pulled by Mr. Lawrence Martin.
Thank you. Lawrence Martin, 3650 Northwest 7th Court. This is one of those areas where I think just a little more education to the community is due in understanding what the surtax is, how it affects the city. My pointed question to the city manager or the finance person would be, are we still paying about $700,000? Is that about 700 plus
761 is what we'll receive.
Well, the city pays $700,000 to the county's surtax coffer, which has quite honestly been a bone of contention, particularly in Lauderhill, because that money goes in just for education purposes, and correct me if I'm wrong, to service the entire county as projects come out, some from the MPO, some from other agencies. And Lauderhill has historically, unfortunately, not been a good recipient of a lot of that money coming back. And I know there was some conversation a year or so ago about trying to push the county to either guarantee a portion of whatever we paid in came back to the city. All the cities were talking about that at one point, because again, $700,000, and I think if I looked at the document properly, we have a project on there for about $20,000 that's in rotation right now. So again, as a commission, I've employed you all to take a look at this. It's a lot of money that we're forking out, and this is not a one-time, this is every year. And if we're not getting the return on our money, we need to really step the game up, talking to the county at the level of verifying that either we're getting in rotation, we're submitting projects for reimbursement, and or the city or other cities that I know there were quite a few that were looking at changing the rules to say, hey, if I put in $700,000, at least 30 or 40% of that guaranteed to come back to the city, or some numbers to that effect. Otherwise, we're spending quite a bit of money. So, Mr. Hobbs, if you could speak to that just a little bit and maybe add anything I may have left out.
Yeah, let me just interject before the city manager does speak. I'm grateful that you've taken the opportunity to address this, Mr. Martin, because this is something that the city manager has been talking to me about for some time, and I know he's been having dialogue as well at the county level. So perhaps he can just fill you in terms of what has already been done. And I know that he's also talked with Zach, because Zach is the one who is now going to those county meetings and just making sure that communication is flowing. So we have been having those sort of dialogues, and I guess the city manager can just fill you in terms of where we are right now with that. Thank you.
Yes. As it relates to the program, that is correct. There is an allocation that is set up for this year for us to receive some dollars, 700 plus thousand, as stated. In addition to that, we have submitted projects. There was a request for additional projects, which we submitted. So we've submitted in excess of $10 million at this point in additional projects, 500,000 being for 2026. And then through 2029, we have an additional $10 million worth of projects that we've identified, roadway improvement projects that we've submitted. So hopefully, one of the things that we've had discussions with at the staff level and at the city managers meetings is an equitable allocation of those dollars. So there is a portion that will be coming, but also there's talks about an equitable allocation of those remaining dollars. So we now have about $10.5 million of requests that we've made with the understanding that you have to be in the game to receive those dollars. So we've identified through our capital improvement program, working with our city engineer, as well as our public works director and our utilities director, to identify close to $11 million worth of projects through 2029.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And does that answer it for you, sir? Yes. Okay, wonderful. Would you like to add something to this, Mr. Davis? Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So we'll now go to item number 5. City attorney.
We need a vote,
Pardon?
motion and
Oh, I'm just going too fast, am I not? I'm trying to get out of here. Okay, yes, absolutely. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
A second? So we have a motion and second, open to the public.
Just a couple of quick questions. Is this the item that we voted on some time ago through the county? I think the county put it on, and we voted and passed for a penny sales tax or a penny tax, some type of way. Is that correct?
Half cent sales tax,
Half
yes.
cents. Okay. And what year was that? Because I don't remember. Was it 2014, 2016?
18.
2018. Okay. And since that time, I think it's MPO that was handling all of these projects, right? And now, Vice Mayor, you're serving on that for how long now?
I'm not.
You're not? Oh, well, who was on MPO before that?
Lawrence Martin, Commissioner Martin.
So these items didn't come up at that time? Because I'm trying to understand why we didn't get on this way back then about being overlooked when it comes to the monies.
No,
I think those conversations were always had. It's unfortunate sometimes that government takes a long time to get things done. We've always had this conversation. But I will assure you that this administration is pushing very, very hard. And I know that our city manager has ensured that this is one of his top responsibilities.
I want us to push harder and faster, because one thing I know, I don't like continue to hear the thing about government works slow, because when we want something to happen, government works very fast. So if we are overlooked on our dollars, we got to work fast and get them, because we do have projects.
Fair
that need
enough.
to get
And we are
taken care of.
working very quickly. Didn't you just say I almost missed the motion? It's working so quickly. Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Smith.
If you will, Madam Mayor, just might add a point of
Yeah.
clarification. Over the past 5 years with the MPO, and I think Zach can attest to this, we brought in about $6 million in projects as a result of the efforts and works during my service on the MPO. My reason for bringing this up was twofold. Is one, because of the process, and if you look at the backup in here, it's a list of about 70 projects from counties or cities around the county. And you'll see the same names over and over again. And if it's not something you keep your foot on the gas, you know, you can't fall back to the back of the list. The other part of the conversation was really about if we're not going to get a regular shake all the time, get on that wagon that's saying, rather than let's give you 700,000, we'll give you 200,000, we'll keep 500 because we got 10 million in projects that are pending.
Absolutely.
There's a piece out there in that aspect.
Absolutely. And we have the right people at the table, and the negotiation skills of the city manager as well as our new finance director is up to standard. So I'm positive that we'll be able to move this forward very quickly. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we have a motion, we have a second, and now I will ask for the city clerk to call the vote.
Commissioner Campbell? Commissioner Dunn? Yes. Commissioner Hodgson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Grant?
Yes, and this has been passed 5-0. Thank you so much. This was number 4. And now we are going to 5A.
Item 5A, resolution number 25R-06113. Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Lauderdale approving the sponsorship of Major League Cricket games by Test Management Group for a fee waiver, in-kind service not to exceed $100,000, providing for effective date. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you kindly. And City Manager, you advised me that there were some individuals here to do a short presentation? Yes. Okay, wonderful. Welcome. Okay. And so at this time, Julie, would you like to take the lead on this?
Sure. I'd like to introduce the reps that are here from Major League Cricket, just to give you some insight on the games that start tomorrow at Central Borough Park, July 1st through Sunday, July 6th, and also the upcoming games, the international games that will be held on July 31st, August 2nd, and August 3rd at the park.
Okay, great.
Evening, everyone. Incredibly excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Justin, I'm the CEO of Major League Cricket. We start tomorrow. This is our 3rd leg. We've come from the Oakland Coliseum. I've got off the plane recently from Texas where we played matches, and now we have 9 matches here. We're committed to bringing Major League Cricket here long term. This is our 1st season in Lauderhill at this fantastic facility. We acknowledge the history of this stadium and the cricket that has been played here. We want to bring more cricket here. We want to bring more money to be spent here on hotels, on athletes, on cricket generally. We do ask your support. We're looking to form a partnership as we move forward in terms of policing and all that sort of stuff. And I would also like to throw to Fawaz here, who's from Cricket West Indies, in terms of the West Indies-Pakistan matches.
That's going to be a fantastic game.
Yes.
And that is scheduled for when?
The first game starts on July 28th.
Yes, but the
second and third game is on the 2nd of August and the 3rd of August.
And the 3rd of August. Wonderful. Okay, sir?
Thank you very much. And just like Justin, I'm very excited to be here today. This is the 3rd tournament that we've been into Broward. We started in 2023, but actually way back then before. We had India come here in 2020, and then do Cricket West Indies brought the India team back again in 2023. We brought the T20 World Cup, which saw over $1.6 billion of economic impact throughout the Caribbean and the West Indies. And we're happy to come again this year when we've been in Pakistan to play for the very first time in Broward. It's a long effort from Cricket West Indies and a long partnership with Broward County and the city of Lauderhill to have cricket such a vibrant part of this community. And the efforts that we've put into this tournament to bring here is only matched by the collaboration with the city as well. It's only possible through partnerships like this. We've partnered with countries in the Caribbean, and we're doing the same thing here with the city of Lauderhill. And only with your support, we can have this tournament here and make cricket a sustainable part of this community and in the USA. I mean, there's no secret why we're here. We believe that the USA is a big potential market for us in the West Indies too. And it's very difficult for us to run cricket in a country that doesn't know about cricket. And I keep emphasizing the partnership, and it's why we're here, and it's why we need your support. So we're very excited to bring this tournament here. It's going to be a great match. We're making the tickets a lot more affordable. We want to make it not only a tournament that brings people from outside of the region, outside of the county, but we wanted to make it a community affair too as well. And again, your support makes that possible. Thank you very
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And before you leave, City Manager, if you can just go over this briefly in terms of what's
Correct.
being proposed.
Yes. So we've been working with the general manager of the association, primarily Julie and her team, to gain an understanding of what the ask is as it relates to us co-sponsoring, I guess you would say, or support from the city's perspective. One of the things that we mentioned during the workshop is from our perspective, administrative standpoint, we felt it important to have all of the information up front so that we can have a conversation about what the total ask is as it relates to the cricket games. I can tell you that the city has supported the games in the past, the international games. This year, as stated, they are looking to do the Major League Cricket, which is new. So there's a request that I've included for 2 sets of games. The July games that Julie spoke of, July 1st through the 6th, as well as games that are at the end of July through August the 3rd, 2nd and 3rd. So the request is for those 2 sets of games. Just to break out the different areas, one of the request included the waiving of permitting fees. It included the request to waive costs related to the rental of the parking lot at the Lauderdale Performing Arts Center. And then it also had a request to waive costs associated with staffing, and that's primarily fire, but also police. The total request amounted to $290,000. That's the total request. In our review of it, and I'll break it down just so that you understand our philosophy, I kind of broke it out into 3 different areas. We have what we'll call soft cost. So permitting, for example, is a cost that's considered a soft cost for us, meaning that it's processed by our existing staff. So there isn't any cash outlay, additional cash outlay other than paying the salaries of our current employees. The permitting portion of the request, I am recommending that we waive that by 100%. So that's $10,575 as relate to permitting costs. The second portion, as it related to the parking lot at the LPAC, the Lauderdale Performing Arts Center, while there may not be a hard cost where we're actually writing a check, but there are opportunity costs associated with that, because if the lot is not able to be rented, then it actually impacts our ability to rent the LPAC and also the parking lot. So the request there is $19,055 as it relates to that. And also because our Lauderdale Performing Arts Center is what we consider an enterprise, so it's their goal is to make money, that I propose that we do not waive any of the fees relating to that, because that parking, as I understand it, there will be a fee associated with parking there. So from our perspective, they'll have the opportunity to generate the dollars to actually pay the costs relating to the Performing Arts Center. The last portion is staffing. There is a requirement to have, as I understand, EMS at all of the games, and then there's an additional cost associated with providing police services on the exterior of the regional park. The cost for both sets of games total $260,783. The proposal from myself is to waive 1/3 of those total costs, which would be $86,927. So what I'm proposing is that we waive 1/3 of the total request of $290,412, and we waive up to $100,000. The total right now is $97,502. So the proposal is to waive up to $100,000 of the costs associated with it. The rationale behind staffing is that I can tell you in the past there was an agreement to waive the permitting, as I understand, last year, which totaled about $40,000. But there was a subsequent agreement or request to waive the staffing costs associated with that, which actually took place after the games had already passed. So I wanted to be upfront and make this request on the front end versus coming back and asking for a retro approval for a cost waiver. So we're including all of the costs upfront, presenting that to the commission for some feedback. One of the things that I mentioned during the workshop is to try to establish some type of consistency or policy so that when we're dealing with not just the cricket, but we have similar requests as it relates to carnival that come before us. So that we can establish a policy so that we're consistent in how we apply these fee waivers as it relates to the use of the LPAC, as well as our police and fire services when there are money-making events. So again, when we're talking about events that are being presented at the LPAC, as well as the regional park, and they're asking for support, we understand that there is a direct benefit to our businesses and residents, but again, there are some costs that are associated with providing these services that are hard costs. For example, paying police and fire, that's paid at an overtime rate, so we actually have to write checks to our police and fire officers when providing these services. So again, in summary, our proposal is to waive 1/3 of the total request associated with the $290,412 request. So we're proposing that we waive up to $100,000.
Okay. Sirs? Any comment?
No, I'm very grateful for your support. I will stress, though, there is a big cost to bring these matches here, and we do rely on partnerships as we do in Texas with Grand Prairie. We are outlaying an awful lot of money to do it, and we continue to do that. And while we are a commercial venture, Major League Cricket is year one, and if it's not successful, we won't be able to come back, and we will look at going back to North Carolina. We'll look at our new fields in LA. So we see this as a start of a relationship. We're very happy for your support and grateful, and look to, I guess, make a successful year this year and look to grow that.
Okay.
If I may, one of the things,
Yes.
Mayor, that we did request, and I know that we're making this request of all parties who are requesting these waivers, is to provide information as it relates to the direct impact of our residents and businesses. So the more that information that you can provide to us to show that not just to the region, and we understand that it impacts the entire region, but specifically the businesses and residents of Lauderhill, because ultimately the dollars that we're speaking of, the waivers that we're speaking of, are coming from the residents, our taxpayers. Now, there's a broader group of taxpayers, Broward County and those type things, and I would ask that there's a similar request made to them and made to BSO, because BSO actually provides the police services on the interior. So we're looking at it from a fair share. So if we're all partners in this, then all partners should contribute to the success of the games. So I think that's the additional information that we would ask as we go through our budget process for 2026 for us, which is next fiscal year. So we'll ask that you provide that type of information so that we can take those things into consideration going forward.
Yeah, 100% agree. And this is a global event. You know, this will be broadcast in 127 countries and showcasing the city and the county.
Yes. All right, wonderful. And so that was one of the questions that I was going to ask as it relates to Broward County. I would hope that they're actually matching what we're doing or doing more.
Yeah, and we're in those discussions with them now
Okay,
as well.
so you're still in discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, and how are ticket sales altogether?
We have been slow, to be honest. I think we've got about 1,000 for each of our matches. We hope to have a bigger spike on July 4th, and expect we will. We do see a lot of day of purchase tickets. So, Fawaz,
Yeah.
Similar to the ticket sales hasn't been as promised as we expected, but we have been a bit late on our marketing approach. We've amped that up now recently, and we expect sales to grow.
How was it in Texas?
Well, sorry, it's two different. MLC does Texas, and
okay,
we do
got it.
international
Yeah.
cricket too.
Okay,
But,
all right.
yeah.
Texas was great. We sold out last night. We had 6,000 people on Oakland Coliseum. The first time we've been there, we had over 30,000 over the 7 days. So.
Okay. So I'm asking because of the marketing, have you guys engaged with local marketers?
Yeah, we've got a local agency involved, and we're really looking at working with local leagues. That's our grassroots. I candidly think we can do that better.
Yeah.
And we're already looking at next season how we do that better and have an 11-month conversation
Got it.
with this community rather than just blowing in 3 weeks before and expecting people to come.
Right. So there are particular radio stations, of course, like WAVS, some of the other Caribbean radio stations too, and non-Caribbean radio stations that perhaps you're already engaged in. But if you need some more information, Commissioner John T., who is a radio personality, can perhaps help you in terms of getting some of that information. In addition to that, with the local businesses and vendors, like food trucks and other businesses, you guys have engaged as well.
Yeah, for sure. And we rely on a lot of local business, obviously, from sign printing to food vendors and obviously security and all that sort of stuff. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Wonderful. All right. So at this time, I see that Commissioner John T. has a question.
Yeah, you have had some recent constructions at the park. What is the accommodation there like now? Have you increased the capacity for attendees?
Yeah, we thankfully after the World Cup, they've increased the capacity of that stadium to 5,000. So the construction we're doing right now is for hospitality, which doesn't exist at that stadium. And the capacity currently sits about 250 persons in that new structure. And that's just for hospitality.
Okay. Well, I guarantee we're going to beat out Texas in accommodation. You've already started on the radio, so I'm hoping that.
If I can add too as well, traditionally for our cricket, for West Indies cricket, a lot of our series are weeks before the tournament too, and that's been the trend. Right now we have a tournament going on that's in the region, and our tickets usually sell a week before. So I'll give you an example. We were at pretty much 1,000 tickets per day for the match that's coming up, and the day of the match we moved from 1,000 to 6,000. So we, the West Indies community and the Pakistan community, try to buy their tickets very late.
Yeah.
But what we need to do, and I acknowledge that we need to let people know that the matches are here and it's coming, and we've amped up that effort.
You have a match starting tomorrow.
That's for MLC, yes. And
Who are you playing tomorrow?
And witness that game.
Who are the teams? Who are they?
Tomorrow, you're testing me. I think it's the Seattle Orcas are playing the San Francisco Unicorns in the opening match. There's 6 franchises.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, fantastic. Commissioner Dunn.
Yes, I actually just wanted to have this very conversation so that we're open and transparent. As the manager mentioned, we have other organizations that's coming with a similar request that's equally impactful economically on the city. And so I think that it's important for us to have open, transparent communication so that we have a set standard for everybody. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. So what is your pleasure? May I have a motion? I'm sorry, you pulled the item as well. Okay. Mr. Martin.
Thank you. And I think a lot of the conversations are already taking place, but a couple of things I would request to the city manager and the commission. Like you say, $100,000 when big chunk of our conversation over the past 6 months has been about cutting costs, saving money, freezing positions. We've canceled a lot of other programs in the city as a result of the city's effort to save taxpayer dollars. Even tonight talking about freezing salaries. So that's definitely something that's on the radar. Activating the county park again, I think that as was mentioned by someone earlier, I'm curious to know what the county's piece in this is, because that is the county park, and making sure that they're stepping up to the table. I heard you say partnership / support. Is it all Larder Hill? Are we being branded on this event? As far as it's starting tomorrow, so if we haven't done it now, it's probably not going to happen. And I think that to be a concern personally, that we're doing $100,000 ask of the commission the night before the event starts. That has to be unusual, and maybe some unusual circumstances. That to me again is concerning. I'm glad the park is being activated. The cricket stadium has sat dormant way too long, and I know there's a lot of good things coming. So I'm excited to hear that the National U.S. League is taking a step forward and activating those things. The other thing I'll ask the commission and the city manager to keep in consideration, what's been helpful to local communities in the past when we've had big events at the LPAC or at the county park, is that the local communities were able to take a part in some of the parking on the outskirts if it was going to raise to the level of potentially the August games. Now that you got time to promote those, if they come in and it's overwhelmingly super supported, just keep in mind a way of making sure your communities are directly impacted. We've done opportunities for the surrounding HOAs to park cars and put a little money in their coffers. So please keep that in mind also. But I am a little concerned of the 12th hour ask for $100,000 for a program that's literally starting tomorrow, and yet they don't have information about what the county is putting into the program.
City Manager, what did we give them last year?
There was, and I guess Julie can speak to the specifics as relates to that, but there was pre and post costs associated.
Last year was just World Cup cricket.
Yeah.
We did not give World Cup anything. They paid the bill.
Because the ICC took the
Correct.
space. Okay.
Yep. In 2023, we hosted 2 international games on August 12th and 13th, and the ask was around $60,000 for those 2 games, the police and fire details as well as the permitting fees. And actually, we approved waiving those fees post those games about a month later at the end of September in 2023.
Got it. Okay. And I will say this, for sure, I believe that this commission has been working very hard and quite successfully at being fiscally responsible and ensuring that moving forward, that will be the order. And so you have already seen it in some of the things that we've already accomplished, and we have set that. In fact, I know that last year, Commissioner Martin supported giving Carnival $250,000. And at first I thought it was 120, but then when we digged a little bit more, it was 250. And many of us, like myself, was not a part of that conversation, so I learned about it later. So nevertheless, I do understand that it is a big ask, but this in particular, as it comes to sports and cricket, they have given so much to the community. And when we're talking about especially the Pakistan game, I know that Joy Roti and Lalo's, they benefit greatly from that. I would really love to see the stats on that because I'm sure that it will blow us away. I do understand that, and with our city manager, one of the reasons why he is the city manager is because he has such a sharp mind. But in addition to that, he is really the numbers guy. So I am so confident when he has broken this down and he said, listen, we can't give 100%, we can't give 60%, we can give a third of that. And I'm very much comfortable with that. But I do understand because as us giving $250,000 to one entity last year, I understand your concern, sir. And so we decided not to do that again. So we have brought it down. Okay, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve.
I will second that. And now we can open it up to the public. Close to the public. City Clerk, please call the vote.
Commissioner Campbell? Commissioner Dunn? Commissioner Hodgson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Grant?
Yes, and this has been passed 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you kindly. All right, so we are now to 5B. And we are just, it's going to be very, very simple, reaffirming the Unity in the Community initiative as a part of our comprehensive plan to public safety. Persons have been asking about it. This is a program, of course, that we advanced in 2019 and continued even when at the tail end of COVID. And trying to get back there because persons have been asking, how are we going to make sure that this program comes back? And what this program is essentially is that we have community leaders, we have our fire and police departments, we have our code enforcement, and we go to different neighborhoods. And some of those neighborhoods are the ones that need a little bit more love. And we go and we knock on doors, actually, and we engage with residents and we talk to them. And guess what? Some of those questions that they ask can be fixed immediately because sometimes it's a code enforcement question. Code enforcement is there. Sometimes it's a police question. And so we are looking to do this again, considering that we are now moving forward with this comprehensive plan to public safety, and just wanted to get my colleagues involved and their support as it relates to this particular program. So may I have a motion?
So moved.
A second? A motion and a second, open to the public, close to the public.
Mayor,
Yes,
just let me read the title just
Go
for the
ahead.
record purposes.
you're supposed to.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Lauderdale reaffirming its commitment to unity, safety, and community engagement through the Unity and the Community Program, providing for effective date. Thank you.
Oh, yes, thank you. And so we have a motion, a second, we open to the public, we've closed to the public. City Clerk, if you can call the vote.
Commissioner Campbell? Commissioner Dunn? Commissioner Hodgson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Grant?
Okay, and that has been passed 5-0. We are now going to 5C, but 5C in itself has already been discussed
Correct.
by Zach. And so all I am asking for the city clerk to do is to be able to just send this out to the various cities, advising them that we are in support of this. And that's it. So, city attorney.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Lauderdale expressing support for the enactment into law condominium reform bills calling on House Bill 913 and House Bill 393, providing for effective date. Thank you.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
That item already passed unanimously, so I'm not really sure.
Yes.
What's,
Absolutely, we can explain that to you.
okay.
And so the language says that we're expressing support. So we are just expressing support as a city as it relates to this, and we're sending it out to our residents so they are very much aware. Yeah, quite simple. So may we have, are you finished? Okay, go ahead, dear.
So, I mean, I think it would be important for folks to know that this already passed, don't you?
I think we discussed that once. Zach was there. Zach spoke on.
Okey-dokey.
Wonderful. So we now have, can I have a motion?
So moved.
A second? Wonderful. We have a motion and a second. Can we open this up to the public? It is closed to the public. City clerk, please call the votes.
Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Dunn, Commissioner Hodgson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Grant.
Yes, and that is 5-0. Thank you kindly. I am okay with 5D, so we don't need to discuss that. And 5E, the guidelines as it relates to adopt a park. The only reason that I have then brought this up is, again, this is a program that we have advanced in 2019. We have 26 parks in the city of Lauderhill, and we have various organizations, companies, and persons that have vested interests in the city that have adopted a park. I think to date, we have adopted 10 parks. We have MOUs that go out to these organizations between the city and the particular entity. And we just did another Adopt a Park community service at West Wind Park. This happened on Saturday. And so we just want to advise the community that we are definitely moving forward with this initiative. And if anyone is interested in adopting one of our parks, please advise us. And we will sure to be able to review and do our due diligence as it relates to that. So, City Attorney.
Mayor, we could combine 5D, 5E, 5F. I'm gonna read the title. We could have one vote for.
Sure.
5D, resolution of the City Commission of the City of Lauderhill awarding the key to the City of Lauderhill to all of
Not the key.
that one. Five. You want me to skip the
We're
5?
okay with that. Yeah.
Okay.
So you're going to combine all of them together?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Oliver Salmon, who is affectionately known as a Jamaican king of comedy, providing for effective date. 5E, resolution of the City Commission of the City of Lauderhill, we are affirming the Adopt a Park program and the skyline for community involvement in the maintenance beautification city parks, providing for effective date. 5F is resolution of City Commission of the City of Lauderhill, authorizing the city manager to execute an Adopt a Park memorandum of understanding between the City of Lauderhill and Kiwanis Club of Lauderhill, providing for effective date. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And as mentioned, the Kiwanis Club of Lauderhill just adopted the West Wind Park and did some community service on Saturday. So thank you kindly. And may I have a motion?
A motion to approve 5D, 5E, and 5F.
And may I have a second? Okay. It's open to the public.
Lawrence Martin, 3650 Northwest 7th Court. Just for public consumption on the Adopt a Park program, which has been around the city for a number of years. It's nothing new, and I guess this is probably at Park and Recs. Looking at the backup and the proposal for what the adoptees are going to be responsible for, it's kind of vague. And what I'm concerned about is how the projects are determined, who's going to be responsible for the cost of the projects. I know in the past, we've done mulch lays at certain parks where cities bought the mulch and just use human capital. You've had other situations where the adoptee has brought their own stuff in, and I'm assuming it's going to cross over into Chief Saletti's area where certain planning can't happen, and we got to maintain it. So I'm just curious, we're saying adopt park to make it a program per se, and what, if any, parameters are being set, that there's a cap on $500 a park per issue. And I know you're saying 4 times a year you want your groups to come out 3 or 4 times a year minimum. Is the city responsible financially? And what are some of the parameters if we're going to hold this to a true program?
Thank you so much for your comment. So we have a motion and we have a second. City Clerk, please call the vote.
Commissioner Campbell? Commissioner Dunn?
Go ahead, Commissioner. You made a statement, correct? Go ahead, City Manager.
As it relates to that, the funding, the dollars for, there'll be a combination of the organization as well as the city. The city has dollars in its budget for park improvements. So the benefit of the MOU and the Adopt a Park is that we'll actually be able to offset some of our costs. So for example, the human capital of the Kiwanis Club who were present this past weekend, there were more volunteers and city staff. So there's an actual benefit fiscally to us by having the Adopt a Park program. But there will be a combination. So for example, the dollars that we have allocated to each park for improvements, where we buy mulch, where we buy the plants and those type of things, those dollars are already part of the city's budget. So we'll make those purchases, but again, it allows for the Kiwanis to enhance what we're proposing to do, and also for them to volunteer in maintaining and doing the plantings and those type things along the side of city staff.
Yeah, and I would just clarification that groups aren't coming in thinking, or if they choose to spend their money, I guess they'll take it, but make sure there's a mechanism by which that you're not commingling funds, things of that nature.
No, we do go through our procurement process, so Yolanda and her team does a great job on ensuring that we don't run afoul of those rules.
Because the information in the backup is a little vague as to what some of the requirements are of the adoptees, other than to perform 4 events a year.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for your comment. So we have a motion and we have a second. City Clerk, please call the vote.
Commissioner Campbell? Commissioner Dunn? Commissioner Hodgson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Grant?
Yes, and this has been passed 5-0. Thank you kindly. Okay, and so now we are going to the resolutions that are not on the consent agenda.
There's none. We're just going straight to the ordinance, Mayor.
We're going to the resolutions that are not on the consent agenda. We indicate that there are none there. We'll go to the ordinances and public hearings.
Yes.
And the first hearing is ordinance number 250-06-119.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Lauderhill amending the City Land Development Regulation amending Schedule 1 entitled Sign Requirements, Section 8.0 of the specific sign requirement by modifying the standards for the off-site, non-commercial, and political signs to provide consistent guidelines for when signs may be posted in both residential and non-residential district, creating a table to clarify the allowable criteria related to temporary signs, establish maximum sign area, sign dimensions, and time restriction, providing for effective date. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you kindly. And so Danielle, I'll yield my time to you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Daniel Keystrom Mills, Development Services Director for the City of Lauderhill. The proposed ordinance before you has a couple of edits to the land development regulations as it relates to the sign ordinance, Schedule I. And I'll briefly tell you that there's backup in the report that provides the complete outline of what is being proposed. But generally speaking, the proposal would be for non-commercial and political signs to increase the number of days that those signs can be posted, and to increase the size of those temporary signs for non-residential districts, allowing temporary signs on perimeter fencing, and establishing that the enforcement against the candidate shall be by Broward County's Board of Elections, I think. So those, this ordinance was presented to the Planning and Zoning Board last week, and they recommended approval to the City Commission, but they did have some notes. They should, they were, I don't have those in front of me. I apologize, I don't recall what those comments were, but they did add a couple of conditions. I'll have to.
Would they like us to modify the documents?
Yes, they did have a couple of suggestions
Yeah.
to the City Commission, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to use a minute to think about what those were. I apologize. If you wanted to open up to the public, you can go through my notes.
You can go through your notes for that? Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner Campbell.
Just correction first, in regards to the days, you said it is increased.
Yes, increasing the number of days that the signs can be posted. Correct.
No. What had happened previously is that there were two competing different days. And this proposal is choosing one of the numbers that were given instead of having two separate days. So it's not essentially an increase. You got that?
I'm just confirming. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me.
That's my understanding as well, as to bring consistency. One was 60, one was 90.
Oh, okay.
Relating to the election, and I think this brings consistency to 90 days for both.
For both zone districts.
For both,
yes, that's correct.
That we can put signs out for 90 days?
So it's increasing it.
And please understand that this resolution addresses not just November election, but in August primaries, you have countywide and state, and in some case federal. And the concern there was that in general, in order to have consistency across the board, it's better to make it as simple as possible. It also prevent code from going crazy because there are a lot of moving parts. So the intent is to make it as simple as possible to accommodate both primaries and also general elections.
Well, I will say that I understand it being uniformed, and that's very important. Consistency is indeed something that we need to look at. But it does not work in your favor, sir, to have signs out early, because everyone knows who you are.
Anyway,
So I would prefer.
what was the confusion there, and even with the folks that passed that resolution, is that no code wasn't clear which is 60 days and which is 90 days, and it presented a problem in regards to that.
Okay. Well, I understand what we're trying to accomplish here, but I would prefer if we just had 10 days to put out signs, actually. But nevertheless, if this is the order of the commission to move forward with that based on consistency, I'm in support of that.
I did find my notes for the Planning and Zoning Board that happened last week. I apologize that that wasn't included in your backup. The recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Board as part of their recommendation to the City Commission were twofold. One is to implement some sort of site triangle, some sort of site setback for the signs, so that for non-residential properties that it's not hindering on vehicular visibility. So for the ingress and egress, the entrances and exits of cars, so that those signs that are posted on those non-residential properties aren't impeding on the visibility for traffic for coming in and out of non-residential properties.
I think we do that already, though, don't we?
For non-commercial signs, there's not, candidates may do that, but it may not necessarily be a requirement in the code. So that's his recommendation.
So
or
you're
board's
adding
recommendation.
that aspect
They're recommending.
recommended.
These are recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Board for your consideration to add on to the ordinance. The other one was, as the size of the signs are being increased to 32 square feet, a couple of the board members had expressed concerns for the size of the sign and not being permitted. So going from 24 to 32 square feet without a permit requirement, in case that to make sure that they were a secured property, to make sure that they were installed in a way that they would not be a hazard if they're, we have hurricane season, though it seems to be all year round. And so when a wind comes through for those temporary signs, that they be secured properly. So those were the two recommendations by the Planning and Zoning.
May I just add to our comment on that? Is that for the past, and I can only speak for the past 30 years, although it was less, in reality, 32 square foot was somewhat standard. And what has happened there is that we had those things, we had 24 square foot, but in most cases, folks were doing 32 square foot, and it has been for the past 30 years. Even most recent, the signs were 32. In fact, I personally had 24, which is 6x4, and it was taken down because you really cannot see much of a difference between a 6x4 and 4x8, and it was misunderstood by code, and they took down some of those signs. So in addition to that, if you look throughout the city, although I'm not engaged in that at this point in time, the signs that we have throughout the city, as in now, they are 32 square foot, and that has been the standard. Outside of the election, all the signs that the city has or elected officials have, that's 32 square foot. So if it's okay now, it should be the standard.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Daniel, for the presentation. Any other comments from my colleagues? May I have a motion?
So move.
A second?
I guess I can second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Open to the public. Close to the public. City Clerk, if you can please call the vote.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
No.
Commissioner Hodgson, Vice Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Grant.
Yes, and this has been passed 4-1. Thank you kindly. We are now going to the next ordinance, and City Attorney, please read.
Item number 7, an ordinance of City Commission of City of Lauderhill, amending the City of Lauderhill Code of Ordinance, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, Officers and Employees, Division 3, Retirement, Part 4, Senior Management Pension and Plan and Trust Fund, adding a new section 2-88.116 relating to post-retirement supplement, providing for effective date. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you kindly. City Manager, if you can please give us an overview. Number 7.
Yes.
Mhm.
So what we have before us is an amendment to the city's code of ordinance to allow for senior management, is to codify really senior management's post-retirement benefit. Currently, they are entitled to a post-retirement benefit that's calculated based on the number of years of service times a fixed amount. That is consistent with what all other parties are receiving: police, fire, and general employees. So what's being proposed today is to amend the code to reflect those benefits that are currently being received by manager and confidential employees.
Wonderful, and we have been given ample time to review this. What is the pleasure of my colleagues?
Move forward.
Okay. May I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Open to the public? Closed to the public. City Clerk, if you can please call the vote.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn, Commissioner Hodgson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Grant.
Yes, and this has been passed 5-0. We are now at 7E, ordinance number 250-06-121. City Attorney.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Lauderdale, amending the Code of Ordinance, Chapter 6, Building and Building Regulation, Article 2, Public Art Program, Section 6-34, Public Art Fund, clarifying authorized uses of the fund to include capital expenditure for the enhancement of the Lauderdale Performing Arts Center, LPAC, providing for effective date.
This has been requested by our city manager. We just have to ensure as well that it no longer says interim, but it does say city manager. So we have to definitely update that. But I would like to learn a little bit more about this.
Yes. So currently, as part of the city's permitting process, there is a fee that's called the public art fee. And again, it's based on the value of the permit. There's a percentage that's charged on each permit, and those dollars go into what we call a public art fund. The public art fund has a board that makes recommendations on how those dollars can be spent, and they can only be spent on those items that qualify as public art. What we're proposing to do now is to add language to the ordinance that allows us to spend dollars on public art capital improvements at the Lauderdale Performing Arts Center. Previously, we could not spend those dollars on capital improvements at the LPAC, so this allows us for those improvements, capital improvements, to qualify as a public art improvement, which allows us to utilize some of the dollars that come in through the public art fund.
So historically, capital improvement, when you hear of that, you think of a lot of monies, right?
Yes, so there is an accounting definition that we utilize. It's over 5,000. This commission raised that from 1,000 to over 5,000.
Okay. And so with that, typically with this particular fund, it would be more so of artwork in itself that we were spending the monies on.
Primarily, yes.
Yes. Okay. How much monies do we actually have in the public art fund?
That is a great question. Do we know offhand? Just say it. $236,000.
$236,000?
Yes.
Okay. And if we do allow this to happen, what is your projection in terms of what are you planning on earmarking to capital improvement? And what do those capital improvement look like right now?
Again, we haven't necessarily earmarked any items, but I can tell you that we just would like to have the ability as we go through developing our 5-year capital improvement plan to utilize these dollars on improvements that are being proposed at the Lauderdale Performing Arts Center. Our 5-year plan has to be approved by the City Commission, and on that 5-year plan, when we identify those capital projects, we identify the funding source as well. So prior to us being able to move forward, it'll be presented to the Commission, A, as a capital improvement, and then B, we will identify what that funding source is. So it's not that we have specific items now, it's just in the past, we have not had the ability to use dollars or public art dollars to fund what we consider to be public art at the LPAC.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if I support this, and only because $230,000 is not a lot of monies. And so in terms of all the parks that we have in the city, in addition to the fact that we have a museum that needs a whole lot of work, we all have seen the museum that needs a whole lot of work, 47th. What would we also utilize monies for that museum as well?
Yeah, we have in the past. So again, it speaks to public art, so it has to qualify as public art. So we've used dollars. If you look at the museum, the fountain that's out front, that was considered public art. So dollars were utilized to make those improvements. And we look at public art at some of our other cities. For example, the mural here is considered public art. So it still has to meet the definition of public art. We cannot use these dollars just to make capital improvements. So we cannot just go over if there is I guess you'll say, a wall improvement or something along those lines. We can't use these dollars to do that. It still has to be considered public art. If there was art that we were placing on the wall and that was deemed public art, then yes, we can use the dollars
Right.
in that means.
Right. And I guess, of course, the Lauderdale Performing Arts Center does have the word art in it, but I will tell you that the LPAC should be able to make money and be able to sustain on its own. Whereas the museum in itself, where it does have a lot of artwork in there as well, is underutilized and does not make any monies. And so how would we be able to make sure things are fair and balanced?
I do think it will be fair and balanced. I can tell you to date, we haven't made a profit at the LPAC. I think some of the recent changes that we've made as it relates to making changes to the management agreement, I think our ability to now have more control over the type of shows that are actually placed in the LPAC, it created more availability. So we're working towards profitability as it relates to the LPAC. But I can tell you that we're probably a few years out from actually being able to turn a profit as it relates to the LPAC. But again, I think how you can assure that the funds are being used properly is that we're required now to come before this commission when we make those capital purchases. So we'll identify what the intent is. It still has to go through the arts board for them to review it as well, and then we present to the commission for funding. So anytime there is an expenditure that's greater than $60,000, we're required to come to the commission because of spending limits authority. So there's a process in place to ensure that the commission sees what the expenditure will be prior to it actually taking place.
Can we make it that we will see, even if it's 60 and below, can be brought to the commission so we have an idea of exactly how the monies is being spent?
I think it'll be better if I can from a I'm going to say a policy, but from a practical standpoint, a practice standpoint, we can make the commission aware. I think we're looking at the code from a spending authority standpoint where it says under 60. Now, there's nothing to say that we can't bring it to you. But just from an efficiency standpoint, I think we can bring it before you. We do bring the capital improvement plan before the commission. So the commission sees all of the improvements that we're proposing to make at the LPAC. There'll be a presentation on July 15 where we talk specifically about what the proposed improvements are, including at the LPAC, and how we actually fund that. That's part of our capital improvement plan, the projects and the funding of those projects. So at that point, the commission does see what the items are and they do approve it. At that level. And even whether it's above or below.
I don't think I'm going to be in support of this. I don't know what the pleasure is of my colleagues, but I feel that the LPAC should be able to stand on its own. And buildings like our museum that needs a lot of help and support, even when it comes to parking, even when it comes to just improvements and beautification, is being overlooked, I believe. And if we're going to utilize the monies in that respect, if this was $2 million or $20 million, I said, hey, go right ahead. But everything that is going to be at the LPAC is going to cost a lot of monies. And I don't think we should use the small amount of monies that we have for that. So I am against it, and I would urge my colleagues to vote against it. Okay.
But wait. What's the intent?
For the tabling?
Yes.
To perhaps more discussions? Yes. Okay. I'll be okay with that. We can table it for more discussion.
I have no problem with it, but are we?
He's just saying for
Mayor,
more conversation.
Mayor, when we have a motion table, discussion has to end.
Well,
we have to vote on it.
okay. So we have a motion to table. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to table. We have a second. And so we are now open to the public. We're closed to the public. May we have the votes, City Clerk, for the motion to table?
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn, Commissioner Hodgson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Grant.
Yes, and this has been passed 5-0. City Clerk, let's table it to a workshop. Yes. Okay. Thank you kindly. All right.
I just need some clarification here.
Sure.
We voted already, but
Yes.
so are we?
So let's just finish with this first. When is the next workshop, City Clerk? Okay, so sometime in September. All right. Go ahead,
So
my colleague.
it will be on the workshop.
Yes, sir.
I'll say my piece then.
Yes, you can say your piece. Okay, wonderful. All right, so we have it tabled. Thank you kindly. All right. And so we now have the ordinance for second reading, number 8.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Lauderhill, amending Chapter 21 entitled Water and Sewer Service, Article 4, entitled Department of Environmental and Engineering Service Rules, Regulation, Rates, Section 21-46, entitled Rules and Regulation by amending subsection G, entitled Limitation of Use, to give the city manager authority to approve remetering agreements, providing for effective date. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you kindly. This is indeed a second reading. We have already gone over this previously, and so I would like to have a motion.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. It's open to the public.
I know this talks about water and waste services, but I'm gonna use it as an opportunity to have the commission and the city manager to look into the southeast section where West Kenlock, Broward Estate, St. George is, to make sure that we do have a storm water system. It's come to my attention that we do not have so, and if that's the case, then we should not be paying stormwater fees. Please take a look at it.
Okay, thank you so much for that comment. Anyone else from the public? Okay, so we are now closed to the public. City Clerk, please call the vote.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn, Commissioner Hodgson,
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Grant.
Yes, and this has been passed 5-0. Thank you, and we are now on to new business. We did want an update on certain boards. I was advised that the Education Advisory Board was unable to be here, so they sent a letter, but we will not read the letter. We will, then the next meeting, we will ask for them to come if possible, okay? Because I know that it was just a matter of scheduling, right? Recreational Advisory Board, is there anyone here from there? So we had a meeting, you and some of your leadership team. I just wanted to kind of hear from the board members, but I guess none of them are here either. No?
No, just me.
Okay, all right. So we will then move until the next meeting for the recreational board as well. And the Housing Authority. Did we reach out to Housing?
They did. I received a text from their executive director that states that the commissioners are on summer break, and the LHA would present at a future meeting.
Okay, and that is fair enough. So I think once we get back from our break, we perhaps can then have a meeting with them, okay? So considering that update, we will now move to communications from our public officials, and I'll start off with our city attorney.
Madam Mayor, as you know, there was a Sun Senate article this past weekend showing the settlement amounts that cities have received through the PFAS or forever chemicals class action. Some cities will receive millions. Obviously, we receive approximately 843,000 already. Class Action Council has given me an update. We'll receive probably before the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, another million plus, and we'll receive more funding up to 2026. I will send by email the status report he gave me by email, exactly outlining what City of Lauderhill will receive in the future. Some of it is not pinpoint exact, but this year for sure, City of Lauderhill will receive at least $1 million plus before the end of the year. Okay.
Thank you. Just to add to that, I know that there was one particular city. Was it Pompano? What was the city that received $14 million?
Well, Delray Beach is receiving $15 million.
Delray Beach is receiving $15 million. And they have a population
Yeah.
of 66,000.
Yeah, City of
What is
Lauderdale,
the base-
Fort Lauderdale will receive substantial amount. The issue with class action basically is when the testing took place and who's the named plaintiff, and there's so many factors determine who gets more. So I will find out exactly why the city probably is not receiving as much as some other cities. Okay.
I would like a survey to be done in terms of other cities and see what they have received. I hope that we're not the lowest.
I don't think
So
so.
you're saying that if it's not based on population, then
No, it's not based on
it's just
population.
based on if someone is in that particular city and they have been named in the lawsuit.
Initially, when this issue came out, some cities were first in line to become parties to the lawsuit, and those cities had a test at the time, and that's one of the basis for the settlement amount. You know, when did you test your water? There's phase one plaintiff, and there's phase two. If you test the water before 2023, I believe I think you get substantial more, and after 2023, the amount is reduced. But
Okay, so it was based on when the cities tested their
that's
water.
one of the
The one
factors.
factor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, this is important information. We look forward to hearing more.
Okay.
Thank you so much, City Attorney. Commissioner John T.
Okay, I just want to remind everyone that the Lauderdale Rising Star Talent Show takes place on the 12th of next month, and the file day for application is this Wednesday. Of course, this is for grades 6 to 12. So those who have young ones who have talents, and you want to expose that, give me a call. Once again, that show is going to take place on the 12th of next month at El Park, the Lauderdale Performing Arts Center.
Sorry.
It's on the city's website.
Yes, thank you for asking that. On the city website for registration.
Wonderful. Thank you. Commissioner Dunn.
Thank you. Andre, could you pull up, please? Thank you. So this Saturday, we had the opportunity to partner with the Broward Community and Family Health Center to do our first Take Your Loved One to the Doctor Day event, specifically targeting men in our community. And we were able to go to the next slide. Yeah. So this is, I want to say thank you to HR for getting us some of the students from Junior Achievers. So we had 2 Junior Achiever students come to volunteer. We had one of the LHPP community liaisons come to volunteer, and some students from Florida State that came down to volunteer. And of course, one of my colleagues from Coral Springs came to volunteer as well. And next slide. We were able to provide screening to 25 men, and they received everything from a basic health checkup to prostate exam and some blood work that will allow us to kind of check cholesterol and some of the other annual screenings. Next slide. And what impressed me about that is that we actually had some women bring their husbands in for screening. Next slide. And even a man came and said that his sister sent him the text and told him that he better go and get a checkup. So when he got off work, he went to get his screening. Next slide. And I want to say thank you to Coach Sam for coming in at the last minute to do the DJ. So we had a tent set up downstairs, and he was kind of spinning on the ones and twos. And so that was good. Next slide. And so thank you also to Ms. Cooper, who showed up, and some of the folks from the North, from the United Homeowners Association, Neighborhood Association, who also came through. And that's an example of a woman who brought her husband to get screening. So that was really, I thought, part of it, right? Because you take yourself and your loved one to the doctor. Next slide. 50 men got educated, well, 50 people received health education. That gentleman there that's speaking, he is the medical director for BCOM. And so folks actually sat down and had an hour's worth of health education, which was really interested. I kind of snuck in, and the men were fully engaged in asking the medical director questions. Next slide. So we had 50 people, thank you. We had 50 people that received health education, 25 that were screened, and incidentally, 7 of the 25 people were uninsured and without a primary medical home, and they all were given opportunities to get access to insurance. And a couple of them actually have follow-up appointments scheduled for next week. So this campaign is really about giving people direct access to healthcare, whether you can afford it or not. And so I just want to say thank you to all of the volunteers. And I know, Kenny, your team was very helpful in getting things through procurement. So I want to say thank you to the procurement team. I want to say thank you to the finance team and the HR team for work, and the city clerk's office, Nadia, for kind of working to make this thing happen. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And at this time, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, Kenny and staff, I just want to thank everybody for their help and assistance with the Juneteenth event. I think it was a successful event, both dinner on Thursday as well as the block party on Sunday. It was a little hot, but your staff, you know, they really helped out, stepped up, so I appreciate their flexibility. Thank you.
Commissioner Campbell.
CASA's 20th anniversary this year. We'll be having our press conference here in the Inverie Community Center on the Tuesday the 9th. The big final will be on July 12th. Hopefully we'll have adequate parking. Those who cannot park at the park can do so across the street in the plazas. And it's a free event. We will be celebrating, and we will be having hopefully about 600 back to school giveaways. We'll be having treats for the kids. Boys and girls will be, Lauderdale boys and girls will be participating. And Lauderdale 6 through 12 will be donating soccer balls and other equipment to both groups. And of course, the main event will be the final, and the public is invited. We're going to have a little splash.
Can you give us a little update on FIFA?
In fact, all the events we'll be partnering with the Miami Host Committee. And of course, I had mentioned before that World Cup is known to be the biggest sporting event in the world. It will be here in United States, Canada, and Mexico. 11 cities in the United States will be participating. 2 cities in Canada and 3 cities in Mexico. And it is estimated that it will generate here in South Florida $1.3 billion. So I'm encouraging the city of Lauderdale to prepare. People will be coming from all over the world, and therefore we should put our best face outside there and try to get some of the dollars. The business folks should open their doors and ensure that the money doesn't pass through Broward County and go to Miami, but a significant portion of those dollars should be staying here in Broward County. as we move forward, you'll have more information. It's not if you play soccer, but from a business sense of we need to get as much as we can out of this event. It's 1 month of activity. Just remember the Super Bowl is 1 day of activity, and it generates a lot of money. You know, we're talking about an entire month from June 11th to July 15th. So let's prepare ourselves, Mr. City Manager. I hope we can make a video looking better than the one the mayor did, so we can showcase our business in the city of Lauderhill, the stadium, and the various restaurants. So people can come in from Africa and Europe can taste a little of our goodness here. So we need to have a little video so we can shoot it out there.
We will work with you on that.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager.
Nothing.
Nothing,
Thank you.
okay. So I would just want to say thank you to the CRA department for their Lauderhill Live on Saturday. It was indeed a spectacular event. Everyone that put this together, this was incredible. We had great fun, lots of laugh to almost tears. We had the opportunity of seeing many great comedians, including Major Hype. Well, everyone knows Major Hype. The place was packed out, first of all. So I'm very surprised we're not making money from the LPAC because the place was absolutely packed out. If we continue to do that, I think that we're on the right track.
Yes.
Every seat was sold, turning people away. That's how it was. So Major Hype, and then we had the opportunity to honor Oliver Samuels as well, who is a cultural icon. So that was well received from the crowd. When he came out, everyone just went crazy. It was good to see, and I think he appreciated it as well. So thank you so much to the CRA department. As Commissioner Dunn shared in terms of our initiatives and making sure that the city is a city where people feel safe, of course, and healthy and prosperous. She had initiative as it relates to taking your family to the doctor. We had a health fair as well that was here over by the Ken Thurston Center. It was well attended to a certain extent. I think they was about 150 people. We need more. We need the residents. We have 75,000 residents here. So when we have a health fair, we should really have a lot of people engaged. But nevertheless, they were great organizations that will be able to help them as well. And this is all for the community. So thanks to everyone who assisted with that. Just understand that there's so much more to come in this wonderful city, lots to look forward to. And we want you to join us on this journey. So thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you at the next commission meeting. Thanks. And congratulations again, Mr. Granville. Yeah.
Oh, and thank you to